Mr. Sinclair's head was ringing from the blow. It took him a moment to process what had happened. His right hand trembling, he pointed at Zara Sinclair. You dare strike your own father? How dare you? You're utterly disrespectful. It's not like this is the first time I've defied you. I thought you'd be used to it by now. Zara Sinclair flexed her wrist. If not, I can always give you another. Slapping him again would be nothing to Zara Sinclair. Mr. Sinclair quickly backed away, putting some distance between them before speaking again. What are you doing here with all these people? What did Serena do to provoke you? She just got back from Seabreeze General Hospital. She nearly killed someone. Zara Sinclair's eyes were dark and ominous, her pupils like the blackest depths of the midnight sea, hinting at the turbulence beneath the surface. Meeting Zara Sinclair's menacing gaze, Mr. Sinclair froze. Who did she kill? My husband's sister. My sister-in-law. Asterisk sister-in-law. What sister-in-law? Asterisk Serena Sinclair finally understood why Zara had suddenly gone ballistic. I didn't kill anyone, she protested. I just talked to her for a bit. She was perfectly fine when I left. Inciting suicide is still a crime. You knew Emily Young has a heart condition, yet you deliberately provoked her. What is that if not attempted murder? Serena Sinclair couldn't help but shiver. Zara's composed expression was terrifying, radiating an authority even greater than Mr. Sinclair's. For a moment, Serena saw a glimpse of the late Arthur Sinclair in her. Mr. Sinclair wanted to intervene, but he was still shaken by Zara's earlier display of force. Besides, with all her bodyguards, he couldn't stop them alone. He stood on the landing above and yelled, "Butler Harrison, stop them!" Zara Sinclair's eyes flashed dangerously. Anyone who tries to stop me gets hurt. Her gaze was so intimidating that silence fell wherever she looked. Who among the staff would dare interfere? It would be suicidal. The butler looked awkward, pointedly ignoring the command. Only Serena Sinclair's panicked cries filled the air. Sensing what was coming, she screamed desperately for help. "Dad, help me! Butler Lawrence! Mrs. Ward!" She called out every name she could think of in the household, but no one responded, and certainly no one stepped forward to intervene. The bodyguards roughly shoved Serena into a car. Annoyed by her screaming, one of them found a rag in the trunk and gagged her. Watching the convoy of 4 cars speed away, Mr. Sinclair frantically made calls, arranging for someone to tail Zara's vehicle. He had just hung up when he saw his wife, Mrs. Sinclair, returning home. It was only just after 8, a time when Mrs. Sinclair was usually still asleep. "Where have you been?" Mr. Sinclair demanded irritably. "Out for some exercise." Mrs. Sinclair replied as she walked in, glancing casually around. "Did someone stop by? There are footprints everywhere." Serena was taken away. Mrs. Sinclair froze, her head snapping towards him. "Who took her?" "Zara." Mrs. Sinclair grew frantic. "Where did Zara take her? What is she going to do?" "You should be asking what Serena did." "What did she do?" "She nearly killed someone." "Impossible," Mrs. Sinclair retorted. She knew her daughter, spoiled and bad-tempered. Yes, but she wasn't capable of murder. Zara wouldn't lie about something like this. The memory of the slap stung Mr. Sinclair's cheek. His lingering pain and anger found a new target in his wife. "I swear, I don't know what kind of mother you are. I work myself to the bone every day providing for this family. And what do? Sit around, can't even raise our daughter properly. All you know is how to spend money, shopping, spas. And lately, you're out early and back late. What exactly have you been up to?" Most people kept those hours for work, but what could she possibly be doing? Mr. Sinclair's resentment towards his wife had been simmering for years. Their affection was purely for show. In reality, they'd been sleeping in separate rooms for a long time. Mrs. Sinclair started to fire back, but his last accusation made her falter. She looked away guiltily. "It's not lately. I just haven't been sleeping well the past couple of nights. I thought exercising might help." Mr. Sinclair's chest tightened with anger. He shot her a glare and turned to leave. "Where are you going?" she asked. "To change. I'm going to Seabreeze General Hospital to find Zara. If I don't get there soon, I'm afraid Serena might end up in the ICU." Inside Seabreeze General Hospital, Ethan Young quietly watched the video on his iPhone. He'd viewed the 50-minute recording multiple times. His face remained impassive, but the hand resting on his thigh was clenched into a fist, knuckles white, veins throbbing visibly on his forearm. He was barely holding back his rage. No wonder Emily's condition had suddenly deteriorated. Ethan stood in the hallway, gazing through the glass window at Emily lying in a hospital bed. The fury inside him swelled. If they couldn't find a suitable heart soon, Emily likely wouldn't make it. The hospital corridor was heated, warm air circulating, yet Ethan felt a chill seep deep into his bones. He had almost lost his sister. A passing nurse offered some comfort. "Don't worry, Mr. Young. Her vitals are stable. She'll be all right. Emily's a strong fighter. She'll definitely pull through." Seeing Ethan remain silent, the nurse added casually, "It's a shame about that heart 5 years ago, though. If she could have gotten it, your sister would probably be all better by now. Wouldn't have needed all these years of medication. Wouldn't have had to suffer so much. Oh well." Ethan froze. A wave of heat rushed from his chest to his head. His eyes stung, and his voice came out hoarse. "What did you say? What heart from 5 years ago?" For the past 5 years, Ethan had been waiting for news of a suitable donor heart, but there had been nothing. Organ donors were rare, and finding a successful match was even rarer. The whole reason he'd agreed to that demeaning 5-year contract, working as Serena Sinclair's stand-in, was to secure the resources needed to find a heart for his sister. The nurse looked at him, surprised. "You didn't know? 3 years ago, a suitable heart became available for your sister. We just needed your consent to schedule the surgery immediately. We tried calling you but couldn't reach you. So we contacted Miss Serena Sinclair, and she told us you had refused the transplant, that you didn't want it. We thought it was such a shame at the time. Since the family, or who they thought was representing the family, had made the decision, the hospital staff couldn't really question it. After the supposed refusal, the heart went to another patient on the waiting list. After that happened, Dr. Johnson, who had been overseeing Emily's care, was reassigned, and this nurse was moved to a different floor. They rarely crossed paths anymore. If Emily hadn't suddenly been moved to this floor, the nurse admitted she might have forgotten all about it. But looking at Ethan's reaction now, it seemed he genuinely hadn't known. That was strange. So, it wasn't that a suitable heart hadn't become available for Emily in the past 5 years. It was that Serena Sinclair's lie had cost her the chance. Ethan's fist shot toward the wall, stopping just an inch short. He remembered his promise to Zara. No matter how furious he got, he wouldn't hurt himself. Ethan Young turned to the panicked nurse. He forced a smile, trying to soften his expression. "I'm fine. Thank you for telling me this today." The change was so abrupt, the nurse didn't know how to react. Ethan Young sat back down, elbows on his knees, head in his hands. He stared blankly at the floor, a heavy aura emanating from him. After an unknown amount of time, he heard the elevator doors open. People filed out, but he didn't move until a shadow fell over him. He looked up and saw Sarah Sinclair. Sarah Sinclair patted his head. "I brought her. Deal with it yourself." The floor was quiet, cleared of unnecessary people. Bodyguards blocked the hallway. From behind the crowd, Serena Sinclair was dragged forward and thrown down in front of Ethan Young like a piece of trash. Serena Sinclair curled into a ball on the floor, like a pangolin sensing danger. Seeing Ethan Young approach, she instinctively scrambled backward, wanting to run, but her legs were so weak she could barely stand. She looked around desperately, searching for help, for anyone who could save her. There was no one. Absolutely no one. Finally, like an ostrich burying its head, she lowered her gaze, watching the approaching shadow until a pair of black leather shoes stopped in her field of vision. An overwhelming pressure enveloped her, making Serena Sinclair feel like she was suffocating. Ethan Young stared impassively at the gag in Serena Sinclair's mouth. "In a moment, you'll do exactly as I say. Don't speak. I don't want to disturb anyone." He ripped the gag from Serena Sinclair's mouth. But the moment it was off, she started screaming. "Ethan Young, what are you?" Asterisk slap. Asterisk a sharp slap cut her off. Serena Sinclair was stunned. She stared at Ethan Young in shock, unable to believe he had hit her. "Let me go. Why do you have to hit me?" Slap. Ethan Young struck her again, a backhand this time, harder than the first. Serena Sinclair's head swam, her ears ringing. "Didn't I tell you to be quiet? Why can't you understand simple instructions?" He sounded so calm, as if he hadn't been the one hitting her just moments before. No one spoke. The sound of the two slaps echoed like loud firecrackers. Serena Sinclair felt as though a rope was tightening around her neck, cutting off her breath. The sheer intimidation radiating from Ethan Young threatened to crush her will. Was this the Ethan Young she remembered? Would he really hit a woman? Even though Ethan Young had said many harsh things to her, in her heart, he was still the gentle, considerate Ethan Young who worked hard without complaint and always yielded to her wishes. How could he hit her? Serena Sinclair looked at him as if seeing him for the first time, her eyes filled with unfamiliar terror. She had to clench her jaw tightly to stop her lips from trembling. "Lift your head." Serena Sinclair flinched but didn't move. A vicious glint flashed in Ethan Young's eyes. "Do I need to repeat myself?" Stiff with fear, Serena Sinclair slowly raised her head, revealing her swollen face, her eyes brimming with tears. Her tears didn't evoke any pity from the man. Instead, they disgusted him. Those weren't tears, they were sewage from a gutter. Ethan Young scrutinized her features, missing no flicker of expression. Such a venomous heart, such a foul mouth, such a viper. Serena Sinclair, will you kneel on your own, or should I help you? I won't. Serena Sinclair seemed to lose her mind, the pain of the slaps forgotten. She shrieked, "Why should I kneel? Your sister isn't dead. How could she handle a living person kneeling to her? And don't forget, your sister is only alive today because of me. If I hadn't arranged for her to be in this Seabreeze General Hospital back then, she would have died long ago. You're repaying kindness with cruelty." Ethan Young muttered to himself, "Looks like I'll have to help you." The next second, Serena Sinclair felt herself lifted into the air as Ethan Young hauled her up, only to be forced down on her knees before she could even steady herself. This was an utter humiliation for Serena Sinclair, but worse was yet to come. Ethan Young grabbed the back of her head and slammed her forehead hard onto the ground. Thud! Stars exploded behind her eyes. Her head throbbed, her neck ached. Ethan Young crouched down, pinning the back of her head, forcing her to kowtow again and again. Each time was harder than the last. After 5 resounding impacts, her forehead was broken and bleeding, staining the floor. This violent side of Ethan Young was something he'd never shown before. He looked crazed, as if he wanted nothing more than to strangle Serena Sinclair right then and there. He gripped Serena Sinclair's neck, questioning her harshly. "Serena Sinclair, are you acting so brazenly because you think I wouldn't dare hit a woman? But to me, there's no distinction between genders, only between humans and animals. You're an animal. I treated you like a human, but you chose not to be one. Talking about repaying kindness with cruelty? Let me ask you, are you worthy of that kindness? 3 years ago, why was the heart meant for my sister given to someone else? Do you have any idea how long it takes to find a suitable heart? Once you miss the chance, it's gone forever. That was a life." For the 5-year contract, he had worked diligently, without complaint, enduring any amount of suffering for his sister's sake. He knew donor hearts were scarce, that many people were waiting for transplants. Getting Emily Young into Seabreeze General Hospital was supposed to be about waiting her turn, getting matched fairly. He never thought of using privilege to cut in line or steal resources, but the heart from 3 years ago was lost precisely because of Serena Sinclair's privilege. To control him better, Serena Sinclair had violated their performance-based contract, hiding the fact that a suitable heart had become available. No wonder Emily Young's condition hadn't improved in 5 years. And now, because of her, Emily Young was hanging by a thread. How could Ethan Young not be furious, not hate her, not resent her? If killing had no consequences, Serena Sinclair would already be dead by 1,000 cuts at his hands. Ethan Young's words struck Serena Sinclair like a bolt from the blue, a direct lightning strike she couldn't possibly dodge. Already terrified, she was now frantic with fear, like a fish thrown onto dry land, gasping for air on the verge of death. "Our relationship was transactional, based on a contract. I accepted whatever you did to me, but you should never have touched my sister." As soon as the words left his mouth, Ethan Young showed no more mercy. He grabbed Serena Sinclair's arms and twisted them in an unnatural direction. The hairs on Serena Sinclair's arms stood on end, and beads of cold sweat rolled down her forehead. She struggled, crying and begging for mercy. "Ethan Young, I was wrong. I'll make it up to you. Don't do this to me." 2 sickening cracks echoed as Ethan Young planted his foot on Serena Sinclair's back and dislocated both her arms. "You'd better pray my sister pulls through. Otherwise, I'll make you wish you were dead." Did Serena Sinclair truly realize she was wrong? No, it wasn't remorse. It was fear, pure terror inspired by Ethan Young. She had never seen this side of him before, shattering her perception. He hadn't just struck her, he'd brutally dislocated both her arms. His ferocity was like the Grim Reaper wielding a massive scythe, slowly chipping away at her willpower, her endurance, and what little courage she had left. Why would Ethan Young hold back just because Serena Sinclair was a woman? His sister had been hurt. If a brother couldn't even defend her, that wasn't kindness, it was cowardice. Ethan Young showed no mercy. Serena Sinclair lay curled on the ground, her breathing shallow, looking utterly frail. Her face, drained of color from the pain, was as white as paper, tears and sweat mingling as they dripped onto the floor. By the time Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair arrived, Ethan Young hadn't just dislocated Serena Sinclair's arms. He popped her fingers out of joint too. Her once slender fingers were now red and swollen from the dislocations, painful even to look at. Though the bones weren't broken and could be reset, there were consequences. Dislocating joints hurt, but resetting them hurt even more. Serena Sinclair had cried herself hoarse, the agony so intense she wanted nothing more than to kneel and beg for mercy. But Ethan Young wasn't finished. He coldly wrenched her fingers, then asked with mock solicitude, "Need me to put them back for you?" How could Serena Sinclair dare let him reset them? Only now did she see Ethan Young clearly. He wasn't some docile workhorse. He was more like Oxhead and Horseface, guardians of hell. He wasn't weak either. His previous good temper only existed because no one had crossed his line, harmed someone he cared about, and he became ruthless, utterly merciless. Serena Sinclair lay dazed and motionless on the floor, so still one might think the pain had killed her. Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair rushed in and saw the scene, crying out frantically, "Serena, how are you? What did you people do to her?" Zara Sinclair replied coolly, "Relax, she's not dead." Mrs. Sinclair looked at Serena on the floor, afraid to even touch her. Both arms hung limply at her sides, dislocated, a horrifying sight. Hearing her mother's voice, Serena struggled to open her swollen eyes and whispered weakly, "Mom. Mommy's here, I'm here. No one will dare hurt you now." Mrs. Sinclair showered Serena with maternal affection. Seeing her child bullied like this instantly turned her into a protective mother hen. She scanned the surroundings, filled with Zara Sinclair's people. This was a hospital, a public place, yet they dared to take justice into their own hands? Utterly barbaric, lawless. Her gaze swept the room and landed on Ethan Young. "Who did this?" she demanded. Ethan Young spoke up. "I did." Mrs. Sinclair erupted. "Who are you? What gives you the right to hit someone? And you?" She glared at Zara Sinclair. "Your own sister gets beaten up, and you just stand there watching? Have you no conscience?" "If I had no conscience," Zara retorted, "your precious daughter would be in the ICU right now. It's just a few dislocated joints, easily fixed. But your daughter nearly killed someone." "Nearly? She didn't actually die, did she? Is that any reason to beat someone so brutally? If you want compensation, just say so. I'll pay." Does violence solve anything? Mrs. Sinclair had a knack for delivering sharp, cutting remarks with an air of stern righteousness, like some avenging moral crusader. Zara Sinclair smiled, a deceptively gentle expression. She walked up to Mrs. Sinclair, and before the older woman could react, Zara slapped her hard across the face, messing up her carefully styled hair into a bird's nest. "Slap? You hit me? I'm your mother. How dare you hit me? Are you trying to stage a rebellion?" Mrs. Sinclair scrambled up, claws out, ready to strike back, but Zara immediately kicked her back down to the floor. "I only slapped you. I didn't kill you," Zara said coolly. "Just pay a little compensation, and it's settled." Mrs. Sinclair's eyes were like poisoned daggers, looking not at her daughter, but at an enemy. Ethan Young stepped in front of Zara, shielding her from Mrs. Sinclair's venomous gaze. He pulled some loose change from his pocket, a paltry, insulting sum, and tossed it in front of Mrs. Sinclair. "Here's your compensation. If it's not enough, I could give you plenty more just like it." Seeing the pathetic amount on the floor, Mrs. Sinclair nearly fainted from rage. Ethan continued, "Violence may not solve problems, but it sure lets off steam. I've already called the police. You do whatever you want. But before you decide, I suggest you consult Mr. Sinclair." "Honey, Mrs. Sinclair looked at her husband standing behind her, his face cold. They had arrived together, but compared to her frantic distress, Mr. Sinclair seemed disturbingly detached, as if it wasn't his daughter and wife who had just been assaulted. He simply stood aside, observing the situation coolly. "Honey, we need to call our lawyers. I want them thrown in jail." She said them, not him, clearly including Zara. How long could they get for assault? She hoped the man got the death penalty and the woman life imprisonment. She wanted nothing to do with a daughter who dared strike her own mother. Mr. Sinclair didn't respond to his wife. He simply motioned for the approaching nurses to take Serena Sinclair to a room. "Go look after Serena," he told his wife. Mrs. Sinclair bit her lip, took a deep breath, and followed the nurses out. "I hope we can handle this privately, without blowing it out of proportion," Mr. Sinclair said to Ethan Young. "Young man, name your terms." Though his tone was measured, almost conciliatory, the look he gave Ethan was cold and commanding. Mr. Sinclair's sudden shift wasn't due to a calm temperament. Zara Sinclair had sin in the video. Mr. Sinclair was a man driven by pragmatism and profit. Weighing the pros and cons, he knew this incident absolutely could not become public. Provoking someone with a heart condition, as Zara had pointed out, wasn't just assault. It was attempted murder. The victim was still in the ICU, not yet out of danger. If this got out, it would be a scandal not just for Serena, but for the entire Sinclair family. Serena had been so arrogant, so reckless. If she weren't already unconscious, he might have slapped her himself. Furthermore, the video revealed other incriminating details. Apparently, Serena Sinclair had hired a stand-in for Lucas Taylor, something about a 5-year contract, and worse, had fallen in love with the replacement, completely forgetting her original objective and the fact that she had a fiancé. Mr. Sinclair had always known Serena was incompetent and prone to causing trouble, but he never imagined she could create a disaster of this magnitude. Could the marriage alliance with the Taylor family even proceed now? How could he possibly face them after this? Just thinking about this mess gave him a headache. At the same time, he studied Ethan Young, sizing him up. Who exactly was this kid to have both his daughters involved with him? One had seemingly cheated on her fiancé for him, while the other defended him even to the point of attacking her own mother. "You should leave," Ethan said flatly. "I'm in no mood to discuss terms right now." Mr. Sinclair could understand Ethan's current state of mind. He didn't press further. Glancing sideways at Ethan and Zara Sinclair's joined hands, he turned and left. Serena Sinclair was taken for x-rays. 10 joints in her hands were dislocated. While dislocations are typically considered minor and can often be reset without anesthesia, there were simply too many. To reduce her pain, the doctor administered an anesthetic before resetting each joint. Some of the more severe dislocations required immobilization to prevent them from popping out again. Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair waited anxiously, their eyes red from crying. When Dr. Johnson emerged, Mrs. Sinclair rushed to ask, "Dr. Johnson, is my daughter all right? Is it serious? When will she recover?" "It's not too serious," Dr. Johnson replied. "She just needs proper rest and recovery. However, she'll need to be cautious with future activities, avoiding heavy lifting to prevent further dislocations. Also, her finger dexterity might be slightly affected." Seeing the Sinclairs' faces fall, Dr. Johnson quickly added, "Her daily life won't be a problem." He elaborated, if she were involved in the arts, like playing the piano, it would definitely be impacted. Fortunately, Serena Sinclair wasn't particularly artistic. She had taken lessons in the past, but was more of a dabbler, trying a bit of everything without mastering anything. Traumatized, Serena Sinclair drifted into a deep sleep, her brow furrowed as she muttered deliriously. It wasn't exactly a nightmare, more like reliving a memory. In a vision, Ethan Young held her hand, demanding to know what she had done wrong. Desperate to stop the torment, she began confessing her wrongdoings. How she shouldn't have hidden the truth about the heart, shouldn't have provoked Emily Young, shouldn't have told her to die, shouldn't have falsely accused Zara Sinclair of spreading vulgar rumors. She admitted she shouldn't have had the agent blacklist Ethan Young 5 years ago, forcing him into that stand-in agreement, and shouldn't have kept harassing and threatening him after it ended. She confessed her mistakes, listing them clearly, one by one, her 10 cardinal sins. Ethan Young simply replied, "Good." Then, in the next instant, he broke her fingers. She screamed, gasping for air. "I already admitted I was wrong. Why are you still doing this to me?" "Since you now clearly recognize your mistakes," Ethan Young said, "it means you're ready to accept my retribution. Only when you suffer as much as my sister will it count as an apology. Pain teaches you a lesson, ensures you won't make the same mistake again." Those were your own words to me. Ethan Young's voice sounded like a demonic chant, seeming to promise her death. The pain was real, the fear was real, and so was the regret. If she had known it would come to this, she never would have targeted Emily Young. Why had she ever thought provoking Emily was a viable way to hurt Ethan Young and Zara Sinclair? If Emily had just quietly died from the stress, perhaps things would have been simpler. But no, she clung to life, still strong enough to expose Serena. Thinking of Ethan Young's threats made Serena Sinclair tremble. She knew he meant what he said and was capable of acting on it. He'd sacrifice anything for his sister. And with Zara Sinclair beside him, together, one would start the fire and the other would deliver the killing blow. As for Ethan Young assaulting her, beyond the fear, Serena Sinclair felt regret and a deep sadness. Her hands throbbed, but the pain couldn't compare to the ache in her heart. It felt like a piece of her had been carved out, leaving an empty void in her chest. One wrong step had led to another. People rarely admit their faults easily. Waiting until the damage is done and regret is the only option left. Just like she once foolishly believed Ethan Young would always be waiting for her, right where she left him. Emily Young woke up at 3 in the afternoon. signaling she was out of immediate danger. She was moved from the ICU back to her regular room later that day. Emily Young almost didn't recognize Ethan Young. He was dressed in hospital scrubs, a mask covering his face, only his bloodshot eyes visible. "Emily, does it still hurt? Are you uncomfortable?" he asked urgently. Emily weakly raised her hand, and Ethan carefully took it, avoiding the foreline. "Brother," she whispered, "I'm sorry. I made you worry." "No, Em. I'm the one who's sorry," Ethan said, his voice thick with guilt. "If I hadn't left yesterday, if I'd just assigned more people to stay with you, this never would have happened." Emily tried to comfort him. "I'm okay, brother. I'm safe now," she reassured him, managing a weak smile. "Besides, I've stared death in the face before. What could be scarier than that? I didn't let all your hard work go to waste. I made it. I'm going to grow up healthy, and when you're old, I'll be the one taking care of you. I haven't let Mom and Dad's hopes down," she continued. "Speaking of them, I actually dreamed I saw them just now. I wanted to give them a hug, but you know what? They kicked me away." Emily was very weak, her words coming in fits and starts, though she managed to say quite a bit. She was still in significant pain, but hid it, not wanting to worry Ethan. She couldn't really see his face behind a mask, but his eyes told her he hadn't slept at all. Still recovering from surgery, Emily couldn't eat solid food yet. She relied on 4 fluids and nutrition for sustenance, along with various medications. Several bags were administered throughout the day, leaving her hands perpetually cold. Zara Sinclair stood quietly to the side, not wanting to disturb Emily's rest, but Emily spotted her. Zara stepped closer. "Yes, it's me. Are you done with work?" Emily asked. Zara gently stroked her hair. "All finished," she said softly. "I've cleared my schedule so I can spend lots of time with you. And when you're discharged, I'll take you somewhere fun." "Zara," Emily said, "thank you for being here with my brother. I never believed what Serena Sinclair said. I know you're kind, and I know you care a lot about him." She paused before adding, "And he loves you very much, too. He's genuinely happy with you." Patients just waking up usually don't have the energy or inclination to talk much, but Emily was the opposite. Once she started, she kept going. She fussed over Ethan and Zara's relationship like a concerned mother hen, anxious that outsiders might cause trouble between them. Ethan and Zara simply agreed with whatever Emily said. She just had major surgery, and her energy levels weren't normal. Soon after waking, she became drowsy again. Ethan didn't want to tire her further and gently encouraged her to sleep. He and Zara stepped out of the hospital room. "Emily's asleep," Zara said. "You need a rest too." As if completely drained of strength, Ethan pulled Zara into a hug, holding on to her tightly. "Thank you, Zara," he murmured. "I want to stay here with Emily," Ethan said. "You should go home and rest. I'll be fine here." Zara had also spent the entire night awake and anxious for his sake. "Then we'll stay together," she insisted. "I wouldn't be able to relax if I left you here alone anyway. Let me stay with you." She gently patted his back. "There's no need for thank yous between us." Zara stood firm, and Ethan, lacking the strength to argue, finally nodded. They sat close together on the sofa, leaning on each other for support. Awake all night, both were utterly exhausted. Now, with the immediate crisis past, an overwhelming wave of tiredness washed over them. When Ethan Young woke up, Zara Sinclair was asleep in his arms. They had only known each other for 2 months, yet it felt like a lifetime. They had become the closest of companions. Just seeing her soothed his soul, instantly calming his chaotic emotions and bringing a sense of peace and stability. He held her gently, adjusting her position slightly so she could sleep more comfortably. Ethan Young checked the time. 5 o'clock in the afternoon. He'd slept for over an hour. He softly caressed Zara Sinclair's face, planning to lift her onto the bed. Just as he started to move, Zara Sinclair woke up. She rubbed her tired eyes. "What time is it?" 10 past 5. Zara Sinclair stretched lazily. "Feels like I slept forever. I asked Mrs. Ward to pack some clothes for us. The assistant should be bringing them soon." "Still tired?" Ethan Young asked. "Want to go back to bed and rest a bit more?" Zara Sinclair shook her head. "Let's go see Emily Young." Emily Young was still asleep, her lips slightly dry. Zara Sinclair took a cup of warm water from the nurse and carefully moistened Emily's lips with a cotton swab. After a while, the assistant arrived with their clothes. The hospital room was large, with extra beds. Ethan Young changed the sheets on one and unpacked their clothes and toiletries from the suitcase. Unwilling to leave Emily Young's side, they stayed at Seabreeze General Hospital, eating the nutritional meals provided. Zara Sinclair had arranged for someone to keep an eye on Serena Sinclair. She had woken up and was currently being questioned by the police. Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair had hired an attorney. The attorney's proposed strategy was flat denial. A few harsh words didn't constitute attempted murder. At worst, it was assault. Furthermore, considering Serena Sinclair's recent frequent hospitalizations, Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair had arranged for a psychiatrist, Dr. Johnson, to issue a note certifying her poor mental state and depression. They planned to drag out any lawsuit. The only real concern was Ethan Young releasing the video and smearing the Sinclair family name. As long as no one died, it wasn't a major issue. They figured once Serena Sinclair apologized properly and offered generous compensation, the matter would be dropped. After all, Zara Sinclair was still a Sinclair. She ought to put in a good word. While Serena Sinclair was unconscious, Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair had their assistant investigate Ethan Young. What they found was shocking. Serena Sinclair had secretly kept Ethan Young 5 years ago. No wonder she had suddenly insisted on moving out back then. Turns out she was supporting a man. Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair reviewed Ethan Young's background again and again. It could be summed up in one word: miserable. Mr. Sinclair retracted his earlier thought. This wasn't keeping a man, it was oppressing him. Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair had cheated, kept mistresses, and sponsored lovers. They had lived wildly in their youth, always generous with money. In their socialite circle, he had a reputation for being open-handed. As long as his lovers didn't embarrass him, he gave them whatever they wanted: houses, cars, jewelry, easily spending tens of millions. Yet Serena Sinclair had only spent $20 million for Ethan Young's 5-year contract, during which she made him work full-time without a break. He'd seen stingy people, but never this stingy. The Sinclair family was prominent. After all, affording a few servants and paying them well wasn't an issue. If this got out, it would be humiliating. People might think the Sinclair family had gone bankrupt. His own breakups with his lovers were always dignified, unlike Serena, who had made such a mess. Like a toad jumping off a cliff, trying to be Batman. If you don't have what it takes, just admit it. Stop putting on an act you can't back up. Whenever Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair thought of Serena Sinclair, anger flared inside them like a burning fire, making them want to grab her and shake her. Both were his daughters, so why was Serena nothing like him? Each one worse than the last. Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair's mood was heavy. He remained silent for as long as Serena slept. Seeing him like this, Mrs. Sinclair didn't dare risk his wrath, only praying Serena wouldn't talk back when she woke up. At 8 in the evening, Serena Sinclair slowly regained consciousness. She had slept for a long time, but still felt exhausted upon waking. Her body felt heavy, her mind fatigued, her eyes sore and difficult to open. Her thoughts were muddled, accompanied by a dry mouth and throat. She instinctively tried to lift her hand, but found she couldn't move it. Craning her neck, she saw both hands wrapped in gauze, the exposed fingers swollen like carrots. The pain hit her instantly. Awake? Sleep well? Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair stood by the bed, their tone dripping with sarcasm. Serena Sinclair weakly called out, "Dad, you've got some nerve, keeping a man behind our backs. Did you ever think about Lucas Taylor? About the engagement with the Taylor family? I told Mom before that I wanted to break off the engagement with Lucas Taylor." Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair turned to Mrs. Sinclair. "You knew. She mentioned it to me, but I only found out about what happened today, just now." Mrs. Sinclair said meekly, "I know you're furious right now, but she's learned her lesson. Try to calm down a bit." Was that something a human should say? Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair scoffed. "You want me to calm down? Look what you've spoiled her into. Mean and sharp-tongued, and too stupid to even realize it. This isn't the first time I've cleaned up your mess. What you said to Zara Sinclair at your birthday gala was recorded, and now this incident was caught on video too. You keep making stupid mistakes and never learn. Fine, you can't outsmart your sister, but you can't even handle an 18-year-old girl? Look at yourself. How are you anything like me?" Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair glanced at Serena Sinclair's hands. Like a toad jumping in a hot oil, courting disaster. It was unclear how much Serena Sinclair heard, or if she heard anything at all. Her face was ashen. Her eyes stared lifelessly at the ceiling as tears streamed down from the corners. "You still have the nerve to cry? After all the shameful things you've done, I can hardly show my face." Perhaps that remark stung her. Serena Sinclair suddenly looked sharply at Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair. "It's not all my fault. Yes, I kept Ethan Young and lived with him for 5 years. But if Lucas Taylor hadn't fallen for someone else and gone abroad looking for Zara Sinclair, I wouldn't have even looked at Ethan Young. You say I'm embarrassing? Why don't you look at yourself? Didn't you cheat? Didn't you keep mistresses and lovers when you were young? I only kept one, starting 5 years ago, What about you? I might be stupid, but I inherited your genes. Slap. A loud smack landed on her face. Her left cheek burned. Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair stared at her, silent. He had hit her hard, completely forgetting she was injured. Serena Sinclair bit her lip hard. After a moment, her nose felt hot. It wasn't until Mrs. Sinclair frantically pressed a hand to her nose, shouting, "Her nose is bleeding," that she realized Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair had hurt her. 5 blows to the head, and now this slap. It gave her a concussion, causing temporary blindness and ringing in her ears. Everything felt loud, annoying. It seemed her parents were arguing because of her, red-faced, hysterical, erupting into the biggest fight they'd ever had. Finally, Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair stormed out in a rage. Mrs. Sinclair sat by the bed, gently wiping the blood from her face. Why did you have to provoke him? Because she was miserable. She had merely made the same mistakes they had. Why did they have to condemn her? Mom, Serena asked, who is Zachary Dawson? Mrs. Sinclair was still playing dumb. How should I know who Zachary Dawson is? Zachary Dawson, your old classmate. He came back to Maplewood recently to handle some demolition business. You've been going out constantly these past few days, leaving early and coming back late. It was to see him, wasn't it? You really aren't picky, are you? The man's ancient. He has a wife and kids. What do you even see in him? Serena Sinclair didn't bother beating around the bush, her tone dripping with disgust. If Mrs. Sinclair had just admitted knowing him straightforwardly, Serena might not have suspected anything. But her mother was playing dumb. It felt as if a cold draft blew across her palms, chilling them instantly. Mrs. Sinclair's face hardened. Are you investigating me? I didn't want to, but you made it too obvious. Obvious? What did I make obvious? Mrs. Sinclair said with a forced laugh. He's just an old classmate I haven't seen in years. We met up for a few meals. Plus, he's renovating his house recently and wanted my help. Maybe pull a few strings. Surely you don't suspect I'm betraying your father? I love him so much. How could I ever do anything to hurt him? Mrs. Sinclair spoke of love, but her eyes held no tenderness. Serena Sinclair knew what real love looked like. It meant never wanting to be apart, always wanting to be together. Clearly, that wasn't her parents. They talked about being devoted, but had been sleeping in separate rooms for years. Really? Then why did you pretend you didn't know him just now? And why are you so nervous? Faced with Serena Sinclair's cold questioning, Mrs. Sinclair grew angry. I am your mother. What are you accusing me of? You're my mother, yes, but don't forget your asterisk, Mrs. Sinclair, asterisk. Everything you have comes from the Sinclair family. If Dad finds out you actually did betray him, our whole family will be ruined. The one thing a man can't stand is being cheated on by his wife. Once Mr. Sinclair discovers she betrayed him, he'll undoubtedly take back everything he's given her. Just as love for someone can extend to those around them, hatred can too. It was like Mrs. Sinclair herself said, what isn't discovered might as well have never happened. But once it's out, it's too late, and Serena would suffer the consequences too. Mrs. Sinclair couldn't even fool her own daughter. How could she possibly hide it from Mr. Sinclair? That's why Serena had to warn her. But to Mrs. Sinclair, her daughter's questioning and suspicious gaze felt like a humiliation. Mom, I'm just trying to warn you. I don't need your warnings. Mother and daughter turned away from each other, neither speaking. After a long moment, Mrs. Sinclair couldn't help but say, don't you dare mention any of this to your father. I'm not that stupid. You've done plenty of stupid things before. Mrs. Sinclair scoffed, then asked, what's going on with Zara Sinclair and that Ethan Young? What's their relationship? At the mention of Ethan Young, Serena Sinclair instinctively remembered him cruelly breaking her fingers. Serena Sinclair bit her lower lip, pushing down her fear. They're married. Married? How dare she? Why wouldn't she dare? You never cared about her. She can do whatever she wants, marry whoever she wants, without asking your permission. If she could, she'd love to experience Zara Sinclair's life. Serena Sinclair's narrow perspective doomed her to mediocrity. She only saw the surface glamour of others' lives, blind to the hardships behind it. She thought if she just had the same script, she could live like Zara Sinclair. She was jealous of Zara Sinclair, but jealousy was just another form of envy. Envy of her strength, her ability to do as she pleased. Take slapping her parents, for instance. Serena wouldn't dare do that, even if she had 10 times the courage. Mrs. Sinclair narrowed her eyes, studying Serena Sinclair. You said before that you liked someone. Was it Ethan Young? Yes. From their conversation, Mrs. Sinclair pieced it together. Simply put, it was a love quadrangle. You don't appreciate what you have until it's gone, and then you regret losing it. Mrs. Sinclair looked at her daughter's injuries. He did this to you, and you still like him? Serena Sinclair was silent for a moment before saying, he used to be very good to me. Being good to you doesn't mean he liked you. He was only nice because of the contract. Serena Sinclair couldn't take it in. Her head ached. Her thoughts were a mess. By now, she knew things were impossible between her and Ethan Young. Ethan Young hated her guts, wished he could kill her. How is Emily Young? Mrs. Sinclair replied, she's awake, already transferred out of the ICU. Mom, help me. Serena Sinclair tried to reach for Mrs. Sinclair's hand, but couldn't lift her own. Lying helplessly in bed, she pleaded urgently, help me break up Zara Sinclair and Ethan Young. Mrs. Sinclair looked exasperated. How? Zara Sinclair even dared to hit me. Do you think she'll listen to anything I say? Serena Sinclair's eyes were dark pools. Whatever it takes to separate her and Ethan Young. Arrange an accident, a car crash, poisoning, kidnapping. One could be foolish or malicious, but not foolish and malicious. That only leads to self-destruction. Mrs. Sinclair shot to her feet, staring at Serena Sinclair in disbelief, as if she couldn't fathom such words coming from her daughter. Although Mrs. Sinclair disliked Zara Sinclair, she had never considered killing her. What's so great about Ethan Young that you'd risk so much? Besides his looks, how does he compare to Lucas Taylor? If your father found out you were thinking like this, he'd kill you. Serena Sinclair's feelings for Ethan Young weren't love anymore. It was an obsession. In her eyes, Ethan Young was better than Lucas Taylor in every way. She asked, Mom, wasn't there someone you liked when you were young? Maybe you didn't have money or a good family background, but you just liked him enough to give up everything for him, enough to become someone you weren't. A fleeting memory passed. Mrs. Sinclair said slowly, there was, but liking someone doesn't put food on the table. I'm very satisfied with my life now, and with the person I am now. I don't regret the decision I made back then. Even mutual love doesn't guarantee a happy ending, let alone unrequited love. Looking at Serena Sinclair in this state, Mrs. Sinclair felt a surge of exasperation. She warned her, you stay put here for the next few days. No iPhone. Don't think about anything. Just take care of yourself. Serena Sinclair closed her eyes without a word. With her hands like this, she truly couldn't do anything. While Serena Sinclair was confined, things started happening online. Simultaneously, major BuzzFeed channels began exposing food safety issues with Judgea Foods, gutter oil, meat from diseased pigs, rat meat found in sausages. It started when a food influencer reviewed snacks, dedicating an episode to the Judgea Foods brand. Because the commentary was so hilariously scathing, the video went viral. Judgea Foods. Add some shady stuff, add some chemicals, a brand even dogs won't eat. Is it really that bad? Isn't that exaggerating? Food influencer, don't throw it out. You can sell it to college students from a street stall. The dog looks disgusted, probably thinks its owner is trying to poison it. Wow. After all these years, didn't expect to see this blast from the past. Childhood memory has turned into a childhood nightmare. I'd rather the brand had died than see it disgrace itself like this. Accidentally bought a pack of their ramen recently. Almost made me gag, smelled like stinky feet. The vermicelli tastes like plastic, the spicy jerky tastes like gasoline, the meat is rancid. Great. I'm immune to all poisons now. Serena Sinclair was under lockdown and couldn't actually do anything right now. So the negative press about Judgea Foods surfacing online was something she had arranged beforehand. It worked well, sparking heated discussion. Concerned netizens tagged the FDA office, demanding they pull all related Judgea Foods product from the market. Meanwhile, Ethan Young's film also ran into a snag. No studio executive was willing to pick it up. Liam Lawrence called Ethan Young to complain. The contract was all negotiated and ready to sign, but they suddenly backed out. Ethan Young's mind worked fast. He asked directly, does Alice Taylor know about this? Not yet. Find a way to let her know. Liam Lawrence didn't understand at first. What do you mean? Ethan Young said, I have two suspects, and one of them is Lucas Taylor. Liam Lawrence thought about it. If it was the Taylor family, it was certainly possible. After all, the Taylor family had connections, first pressuring the relevant departments, then tried to delay the approval process, and now secretly spreading rumors. But this is his own sister's project. How could he be so ruthless? Even without proof, Liam Lawrence was already convinced it was Lucas Taylor. There are people who will stop at nothing to achieve their goals, disregarding family ties. In Lucas Taylor's eyes, this was just a movie, not a life. Ruining it meant nothing. He didn't care about the effort poured into it, only about his own satisfaction. Okay, I'll tell Alice Taylor right away. After hanging up, Ethan Young returned to the hospital room where Zara Sinclair was waiting for him at the door. Trouble. Just a small issue. Need help. Ethan Young walked over and took her hand. No need, I can handle it. What about you? You're trending online. Gladly accepting the trending topic. Thanks to them for the free publicity, Zara Sinclair winked. Ethan Young and she looked at each other and smiled. Back in the hospital room, Emily Young's condition was improving day by day. Rejection symptoms were minimal, and she could now eat solid food. Ethan Young would make her congee and soup. Her cheeks had filled out a bit, and color had returned to her face, no longer as pale and thin as before. Regarding Serena Sinclair's intentional assault, if the case went to court and concluded smoothly, she would likely receive a maximum sentence of 2 years. Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair couldn't bear the thought of their younger daughter going to jail and preferred to settle privately with compensation. 2 years seemed too short a sentence. If compensation was chosen, they could push for a larger amount. Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair were willing to spend generously for Serena's sake. The choice, whether to let the perpetrator face legal punishment or demand compensation, was left to Emily Young. Emily Young asked, if I asked for compensation, how much could they give? Zara Sinclair estimated tens of millions, easily. Emily Young's eyes widened in shock. That much? Normally, it wouldn't be that much, but Zara Sinclair knew how to make Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair bleed money. Emily Young looked at Zara Sinclair, then at Ethan Young, clearly hesitant. After a moment, she asked cautiously, if I choose compensation, will you blame me? No, we respect your decision, Ethan Young said, patting her head. Zara Sinclair added, if you choose compensation, the lawyers will push for more. Then I'll take the compensation. Thank you, Zara. Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair were initially relieved to hear Emily Young wanted compensation, but when they heard the demand for $60 million, they nearly choked. Mr. Sinclair had expected to settle it for a few million, but the other party had the audacity to ask for $60 million. Zara Sinclair was siding with outsiders against her own family. It wasn't that they couldn't afford $60 million, but money didn't grow on trees, and they couldn't just give it away casually. Mr. Sinclair called Zara Sinclair directly. As soon as the call connected, he snapped, $60 million? Why don't you just rob us? If I were robbing you, it wouldn't be this amount. Zara Sinclair's voice was coolly sarcastic. $60 million to spare her 2 years in jail. Ask Serena if she's willing. Don't forget, Zara Sinclair and Serena Sinclair still had a performance-based contract. The contract was active and couldn't be changed. If Serena spent the next 2 years in jail, wouldn't she lose without even competing? Serena knew what choice to make, and Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair knew it too. Mr. Sinclair stared intently at the desk, deep in thought. After a long moment, he reluctantly agreed. Mr. Sinclair added sarcastically, we're family. Do you have to make things so ugly? Don't forget you're a Sinclair too. This doesn't benefit you. Asterisk, how could it not benefit her? Seeing the three of them frustrated made her feel good. Asterisk, you're the ones making it ugly, not me. Even children have parents take responsibility for their mistakes, and Serena is an adult. She indulged her behavior, so she must bear the consequences. I'm not taking the fall for her. Mr. Sinclair's breathing grew heavy. Can that video be deleted? No, that's a separate price. Mr. Sinclair's voice rose. More money. Zara Sinclair scoffed. What did you expect? You thought I'd give it to you for free. Mr. Sinclair asked, how much? You can't afford it, Zara Sinclair said. Whether the video gets out depends on Serena's mouth. Keeping her quiet is the best thing you can do. The video Emily Young recorded was their leverage. If Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair didn't want it released, they'd better make sure Serena watched her step and behaved herself. Mr. Sinclair's brow twitched. Understood. The $60 million compensation quickly arrived in Emily Young's account. Emily Young counted the zeros on her bank card balance over and over. She had never imagined having so much money in her account before. If only they'd had this much money back then, her parents wouldn't have had to work so hard, and they wouldn't have died. Her brother could have gone to college. Of the $60 million, Emily Young anonymously donated $10 million to the donor's family. Medical treatments had wiped out their savings and left them heavily in debt. $10 million could significantly improve their lives. Emily Young had many people to thank. She bought small gifts for the medical staff who had taken such good care of her, and for the classmates and relatives who visited often. She remembered everyone who had been kind to her, especially Zara Sinclair. If Zara hadn't arranged for Dr. Johnson and found a suitable heart. She would likely be dead by now. She bought some jewelry and bags for Zara Sinclair, spending several million in total. The remaining money, she transferred entirely to Ethan Young's account, keeping only tens of thousands for herself. Even tens of thousands felt like a lot to her. She didn't even know what to spend it on. Ethan Young received the bank transfer notification. Why did you send the money to my account? You're grown up now. You need to learn to manage it yourself. You'll need it for many things when you leave the hospital. It's too much. I'm afraid I'll lose it. I kept tens of thousands. Brother, aren't you working on your movie? Keep this 40 million for promotion. Consider me an investor. You can pay me dividends later. Ethan Young teased her. What if I lose it all? Then you lose it. I still have tens of thousands that'll last a while. When I get out of the hospital, I can take drawing commissions and earn money to support you. I have hands and feet. I don't need you to support me. Just focus on taking care of yourself. Mentioning Ethan Young's movie, Emily Young asked about its progress. Brother, how's your movie coming along? Will it be released during winter break? Yes. When the time comes, I'll take you to the premiere beforehand. When Alice Taylor got the call from Liam Lawrence, her mind immediately jumped to Lucas Taylor. He could even convince his own sister to be the other woman. Seriously, was there anything someone like him wouldn't dare to do? Maybe in his twisted value system, right and wrong didn't exist anymore. As long as it satisfied his own selfish desires and interests, any despicable act was just routine for him. Out of jealousy, Lucas Taylor tried to suppress Ethan Young, looking down on him while simultaneously fearing his success. Serena Sinclair suppressed Zara Sinclair's Sinclair Foods Inc. Lucas Taylor suppressed Ethan Young's movie. This engaged couple reached an agreement without even discussing it. They both believed that if Ethan Young and Zara Sinclair failed, they would come back to them. Their goals aligned perfectly, a meeting of minds without needing words. Alice Taylor was furious. She found a golf club in her room and stormed towards Lucas Taylor's room, club in hand. Lucas Taylor was already out of the hospital and recovering at home. Who knew he'd still be causing trouble, even while sick, just looking for problems? As Alice Taylor barged in with the golf club, she happened to overhear Lucas Taylor on the phone. What had been just a suspicion was now confirmed. He was the culprit. Out of jealousy, he was even trying to ruin her career. He knew perfectly well how much this movie meant to her, how much effort she'd poured into it. Working early mornings and late nights, memorizing lines the moment she opened her eyes, wishing she could spend 24/7 with the film crew. This was her first time as a lead actress in a movie. To promote it, she'd organized her team, contacted BuzzFeed in advance, and even used her own money. She had a feeling this movie would be a hit, cementing her place in the entertainment industry, taking her career to the next level, maybe even winning her an award. And Lucas Taylor dared to sabotage her at this critical moment. Ruining someone's livelihood is like murdering their parents. This was absolutely unforgivable. Alice Taylor ground her teeth, tightened her grip on the golf club, rushed in, and started smashing things. Lucas Taylor loved collecting figurines. One whole wall in his room was filled with them, carefully protected. Alice went straight for those figurines, destroying thousands of dollars worth with each swing. Before Lucas Taylor could even react, a third of his collection was ruined. He quickly scrambled out of bed, shouting, "Alice Taylor, what the hell are you doing?" "What am I doing? I want to ask what you're doing. Did I offend you by just trying to make my movie? Why are you trying to obstruct me?" "I wasn't trying to obstruct you. Obstructing Ethan Young is obstructing me. You know how important this movie is to me." Crash. Alice, seemingly crazed, smashed another part of the wall. Panting, she pointed the golf club at Lucas Taylor. Lucas Taylor looked at the club in her hand, suppressed his fear, and sneered, "Alice Taylor, I warned you to quit this movie. You didn't listen. Now that there's a problem, who can you blame? Ethan Young's movie won't be released. He's a tainted artist. Even if it gets released, it'll be pulled. Who's going to cover the theater's losses then?" Alice Taylor's face tightened. Ethan Young is not a tainted artist. He's cleaner than anyone. Huh. Lucas sounded like he'd heard a joke. He asked quietly, "How long have you known him? How much do you really know about him? Do you know who he's associated with? If he really had no issues, if he was completely clean, do you think I could convince those studio executives just by talking?" Alice Taylor's heart pounded erratically. The unease made her feel helpless, but she forced herself to appear calm. "At least I know more than you do." She'd learned her lesson. She trusted what she saw with her own eyes more than what came out of other people's mouths. Ethan Young was definitely not some scandal-ridden person. If he were really that bad, Zara Sinclair wouldn't like him. In other words, saying bad things about Ethan Young was like saying bad things about Zara Sinclair. "You know more? Did you know Ethan Young used to be kept by someone?" Alice immediately retorted, Stop talking nonsense. If Ethan Young was really being kept, why would his career be struggling so much? Go on, tell me who kept him. If you dare, bring that person here, and we can confront them face to face. Lucas Taylor looked at her. Serena Sinclair. Alice raised her voice. Impossible. Why impossible? My investigation was thorough. There are witnesses and evidence. Fiona Fitzgerald and Sophia Sullivan can testify. Even now, Serena Sinclair still has clothes Ethan Young used to wear at her place. If he was really kept by Serena Sinclair, how could he possibly be with Zara Sinclair? Lucas said sarcastically. It just shows how capable he is, playing both sides. Alice's hands were trembling. She lowered the golf club, closed her eyes, and replayed past events in her mind. The first time she met Ethan Young, he was with Serena Sinclair. When she asked Serena Sinclair about Ethan Young, Serena's attitude was strange. All those negative rumors about Ethan Young had come from Serena Sinclair. How could Ethan Young be kept by Serena Sinclair? Serena Sinclair is your fiancée. Asterisk replacing Serena with Zara. That would almost make more sense. Asterisk. Raising your voice doesn't make you right. People usually shout when they lack confidence. This reaction proved Alice Taylor was wavering. Lucas Taylor said, Serena's feelings changed a long time ago. During the 5 years I was gone, she found a substitute. Alice blurted out, Are you saying Ethan Young was your replacement? But you two look nothing alike. Ethan Young is way better looking than you. Where do you get the nerve? Lucas Taylor looked at her coldly, his furrowed brow showing his irritation and rapidly dwindling patience. His injuries were mostly healed, but now they started aching again. He could even taste blood in the back of his throat. Serena Sinclair and Ethan Young got together 5 years ago. If you don't believe me, you can ask Serena Sinclair and Ethan Young. Lucas sneered. You seem to have revealed everything about yourself, but how much truth has he told you? Your understanding of him is only superficial. Cutting your losses now is the smart move. Better a short pain than a long one. You only lose one movie, but you protect your reputation. Getting involved with someone like Ethan Young will only lead to a bad end. You like making movies? As your brother, I'll support you. Whatever script you want, I'll hire a screenwriter just for you. I'll be your investor. Lucas Taylor finished speaking earnestly, thinking his words would be enough to sway Alice Taylor. But she wasn't buying it. Alice raised the golf club again. Nothing you say changes the fact that you're a despicable person. You claim it's for my own good, but you're just jealous of Ethan Young. Someone with an ugly heart sees dirt everywhere. Do you think that if Ethan Young fails, Zara Sinclair will break up with him and get together with you? Dream on. Let me tell you, Ethan Young and Zara Sinclair are already married. You're just a toad lusting after a swan. Alice Taylor's sharp words made Lucas Taylor's ears ring. What did you say? I said you're completely out of her league. So what if you chased after Zara Sinclair for 5 years? She married Ethan Young less than 5 days after they met. Alice Taylor gripped the pool cue she was holding and poked Lucas Taylor in the chest. It wasn't physically harmful, but the insult was immense. You say Ethan Young is no good, but Zara Sinclair likes him just the way he is. Lucas Taylor's face instantly darkened, and he gripped the cue tightly. So what if they're married? People get divorced. And if they can't get divorced, well, people become widowed. Alice Taylor met Lucas Taylor's gaze. That look confirmed it. He was utterly heartless. You really are disgustingly shameless. After saying this, Alice Taylor forcefully pulled the cue back. She desperately wanted to hit him with it, teach him a lesson he wouldn't forget. But seeing Lucas Taylor's pale face, she couldn't help remembering how kind he used to be to her. Alice looked at him for a few seconds, her eyes filled with disappointment, then turned and walked away. Lucas Taylor called out to her retreating back. Ethan Young has been using you from the very beginning, using your popularity, using your status as the third daughter of the Taylor family. He knew you were my sister all along. He wanted to use you to control the situation, to keep me and Serena Sinclair in check. Without you, this movie never would have gotten made. Alice Taylor didn't turn around. He wasn't using me. He was just protecting himself. He'd been pushed into it by people like them. She let go of the cue and walked out without looking back. Her vision blurred. It wasn't until she reached the restroom that she realized her eyes were red. Facing the mirror, she wiped away her tears, then took out her iPhone to call Ethan Young. Ethan Young, where are you? Can I meet with you? I'm at Seabreeze General Hospital. Alice instinctively asked with concern. Are you sick? My sister just had surgery. How is your sister now? Is she okay? The surgery was successful, and she's recovering well. They ended up arranging to meet at a coffee shop near Seabreeze General Hospital. Alice Taylor bought a bouquet of flowers. When she arrived, Ethan Young was already there. She handed the flowers to him. These are for your sister. I hope she recovers quickly. Thanks. Ethan Young took the flowers and set them on the table. He glanced at the card attached. Do you want to go up and see my sister? Maybe later, Alice said, afraid that the conversation to come might end their meeting on bad terms. Alice sat down and ordered a latte. Have you heard from Liam Lawrence? There's been some trouble with the movie recently. Ethan Young took a sip of his coffee. I know. Alice stirred her latte, the spoon clinking softly against the cup. My brother did it. I'm sorry. I'll do my best to sort things out with the release, but if... Her throat tightened. If it really can't be resolved, I'll compensate you for your losses. But this wasn't just about compensation. So many people on the crew had poured their hard work into this film, carrying the hopes of everyone involved. Not to mention Ethan Young himself, or Liam Lawrence and Hank Harrison, who saw this first collaboration as their chance for a major comeback. Fortunately, Ethan had anticipated this and made preparations. If Alice couldn't fix it, he had other plans. He wouldn't just sit back and let it fail. It's okay. I'll talk to the studio executives and AMC theaters. Alice thought Ethan was just putting on a brave face. If Hank Harrison and Liam Lawrence couldn't negotiate it, could he? Was he planning to rely on Zara Sinclair? Thinking of Zara made Alice think of Serena Sinclair. She still couldn't believe Ethan had once been kept by Serena. Two sisters involved with the same man. Wouldn't they mind? Especially Zara. Knowing her husband once had a hidden relationship with her own sister, Alice watched Ethan carefully, then let out a breath and said, half-jokingly, my brother told me something. He said you used to be kept by Serena Sinclair. I thought, how could that be possible? If you were really kept by Serena, how could you marry Zara? Wouldn't it be incredibly awkward for the two sisters? My brother doesn't like you because he's into Zara, so he just slings mud at you whenever he can. It's too much. I got so angry today, I smashed his entire collection of figurines. He was furious. His face went completely red. He even said that during the 5 years he was abroad, Serena used you as a stand-in. He said it without any shame, even though you're obviously way better looking than him. Ethan Young didn't interrupt, letting her talk herself out. When she finished, he replied seriously, Lucas Taylor wasn't wrong. Serena Sinclair did pay me to act as a stand-in. It was a clear transaction, based on agreement. I had a 5-year contract. Do you remember when Serena visited the set? I told you then, but you didn't believe me, so I dropped it to avoid disrupting work. It was like opening the floodgates of memory. Alice remembered now. A wry expression crossed her face. I thought you were joking with me back then. Ethan's expression was calm. During the filming, when did I ever joke around with you? Alice thought about it, and it was true. The words felt like cotton stuck in her throat. After holding back for a moment, she finally asked, Does Zara know? She knew from the very beginning. Asterisk she knew, and she didn't even care. Asterisk Alice thought bitterly. Asterisk, no wonder Zara ended up with Ethan. The latecomer wins because the one before wasn't good enough. Asterisk Alice lowered her head, staring into her cup. Were you using me? Ethan's expression was unreadable. It's not called using. It's called mutually beneficial. Ethan countered. Did you like the script? Alice nodded. Did you receive your payment? Yes. Were you satisfied with the filming process? Very satisfied. Every day filming with Ethan had been happy. She felt she'd learned a lot, and her acting had even improved. Well, there you have it then, Ethan said. Ethan hadn't forced her into anything. The contract was formal. Everything followed legal procedures. So how could that be considered using her? Alice lowered her eyes to the table and asked quietly, Why did you write this script in the first place? Ethan replied matter-of-factly, to make money. Much of her resentment, she realized, stemmed from her own wishful thinking. Because she cared, she had read too much into his actions. Thinking about it carefully, Ethan had never treated her specially or differently from anyone else. It was simply because he was so exceptional that she had developed inappropriate fantasies and illusions about him. Finishing the last sip of her latte, Alice wiped her mouth. I'd like to see your sister now, if that's okay. Of course. Ethan picked up the bouquet, and once they were in the elevator, he handed the flowers to Alice. Alice held the bouquet nervously. What's your sister's name? Ethan replied, Emily Young. Alice rarely heard Ethan mention his sister. She had only found out about Emily's illness from Liam Lawrence. Ethan Young, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have used that term kept to insult you. That wasn't being kept. You were just fulfilling a contract. Some people are born with a silver spoon. Others are born to struggle. On the way over, Alice Taylor had been thinking about Ethan Young's career. Which entertainer, supposedly being sponsored, would end up in such a bad spot? Serena Sinclair runs Sinclair Media Group, for crying out loud. She has access to every resource imaginable. But look at Ethan Young, stuck in a 5-year contract with her. he's practically disappeared from the scene. Other investors bankrolling their lover's toss around major productions, awards, mansions. Whatever they ask for, they get. Compared to them, Ethan Young gets absolutely nothing. If she had met Ethan Young first, she would have poured all her personal savings into his movies. How many films could he have made in 5 years? With a face like Ethan Young's, he should have been a huge star ages ago. Serena Sinclair wasn't sponsoring Ethan Young. She was actively suppressing his career. Ethan Young went in first. Emily, someone's here to see you. Who is it? Alice Taylor appeared holding flowers, looking at the young girl in the hospital bed. Her small face was dominated by her features, her eyes strikingly similar to Ethan Young's. Emily Young stared blankly for a moment, then her eyes widened. Alice Taylor, I know you. I've seen your movies. I loved that character you played. I even cried when she died. And I watched your TV show too. I really liked it. I even follow you on Twitter. Having just had surgery, she couldn't get too excited. Emily Young steadied her breathing, trying hard to contain herself, but her face flushed with happiness anyway. Alice Taylor hadn't expected Emily Young to be a fan. The roles she mentioned included minor parts from early in her career and her most recent TV show. Alice Taylor went further into the room with the flowers. These are for you. Do you like them? The florist said these flowers are fine for heart patients and can be kept indoors. I love them. Thank you for the flowers. There's fruit here, have some. Alice Taylor had initially felt a bit awkward, unsure how to act around her. But after actually talking, she found Emily Young's personality much warmer than Ethan Young's, like a little ball of sunshine. Ethan Young took the fruit to the kitchen to wash it, then placed it on a clean plate with forks. Do you want some birthday cake? Ethan Young asked Alice Taylor. There's birthday cake? Emily Young boasted. My brother made it himself. It's delicious. Want to try some? Alice Taylor nodded eagerly. Ethan Young opened the fridge. There were 4 servings left, just enough for the 4 of them. He put the cake slices on a tray and brought them out, saving the peach slice for Zara Sinclair. Of the other 3, both Emily Young and Alice Taylor chose strawberry. Alice Taylor eagerly took a bite. Emily Young watched her expectantly. How is it? Is it good? Delicious. Alice Taylor gave Ethan Young a thumbs up. With skills like this, you could make money even if you weren't an actor. Emily Young found herself enjoying the chat with Alice Taylor, perhaps because their ages weren't far apart. One 18, the other 22. Alice Taylor relaxed, letting go of her earlier reserve, and pointed to her own heart area. Does it still hurt here? Emily Young shook her head. It doesn't hurt anymore. Actually, it still hurt a little, but compared to before, the pain seemed insignificant. Alice Taylor asked curiously, have there been any other reactions after the heart transplant? Rejection symptoms? I take my medicine on time every day, so no major reactions. I heard once that people's personalities can change after a heart transplant. Have you experienced anything like that? Really? Does that mean I might suddenly develop a second personality? It'd be great if it was a smart one, able to learn anything instantly and ace every test. The two huddled together, whispering, and quickly finished their cake. How's my brother doing on the film set? Every time I ask if he's okay, he never gives me a straight answer. Everything else is fine, but the weight loss is really hard on his body. He eats nothing, just drinks water. You should really remind him about that, Alice Taylor confided quietly. No wonder he lost so much weight recently. I thought he was being bullied on set. Ethan Young had been bullied before. He'd taken a supporting role, but the director made him be the lead actress's stunt double, forcing him into freezing water in the middle of winter. Ethan Young had never told her about these things. She didn't realize until the show aired, but she instantly recognized the stunt double as her brother. Alice Taylor was talking with Emily Young when the door suddenly opened. She turned to look at the person coming in. From the bed, Emily Young called out happily, Zara. It was Zara Sinclair. Seeing Zara Sinclair, Alice Taylor felt inexplicably guilty. She stood up and also greeted her politely, Zara. Among her peers, Zara Sinclair was undoubtedly the most outstanding, beautiful, capable, with exceptional charisma. Usually serious and unsmiling, her cool gaze carried an intense pressure. It made sense that Lucas Taylor was drawn to Zara Sinclair. After all, perfection always inspires longing. Feelings are often uncontrollable, but Lucas Taylor's mistake was his delusion, not daring to be honest with Serena Sinclair while simultaneously pursuing Zara Sinclair, greedy enough to want them both. That type of person wouldn't settle down even if married, always the type to be too timing. Alice Taylor looked down on such men, even her own brother. Zara Sinclair wore a faint smile. She wasn't elaborately dressed, wearing casual clothes with her hair in a low ponytail, and moved with an easy confidence. Long time no see, Alice Taylor. The last time she saw Zara Sinclair was probably at Serena Sinclair's birthday gala. Alice Taylor stared at her face, slightly lost in thought. Long time no see. Emily Young looked back and forth between Zara Sinclair and Alice Taylor. Do you two know each other? Zara Sinclair nodded. Yes, I'm business partners with her sister. It's a small world. Zara Sinclair wasn't surprised by Alice Taylor's arrival. Ethan Young had clearly told her beforehand. Ethan Young came out from the kitchen carrying a tray with 3 fruit drinks on it. Emily Young wasn't allowed one yet. Zara Sinclair reached out to help. Alice Taylor, which flavor would you like? There's lemon, passion fruit. I'll take the lemon. Zara Sinclair handed the lemonade to Alice Taylor. Ethan Young handed the blueberry drink to Zara Sinclair. Blueberry, your favorite. And I saved you birthday cake. It's on the table. What flavor? Peach. My favorite. Love you. Zara Sinclair leaned in as if to kiss Ethan Young, but noticing Alice Taylor, she blew him a kiss instead. Alice Taylor tightened her grip on her cup. Emily Young asked, "Is it good?" Alice Taylor lowered her gaze to the lemon slices in her cup. It's a little sour. If it's sour, you can add honey. There's some in the fridge. No need. It gets sweeter as you drink it. Emily Young added, maybe the sweetener settled. Try stirring it with your straw. Okay. Alice Taylor swirled the cup and drank the rest of it in one gulp. From the corner of her eye, she watched Ethan Young and Zara Sinclair. The two had unconsciously leaned closer together. Zara Sinclair, who usually seemed so stern and composed, had completely let her guard down around Ethan Young. She leaned against him comfortably, and whenever she spoke, Ethan Young would attentively lean down to listen. Whenever Zara Sinclair was around, Ethan Young's gaze would lock onto her, watching her eyes, tracing the lips that formed her words, his gentle eyes becoming intensely possessive. Zara Sinclair leaned close to him, whispering, "Is the passion fruit one good? Try it." Ethan Young naturally brought the straw to her lips, watching her open her mouth, bite down, and take a sip. "Is it good?" Zara Sinclair nodded. Delicious. You can have it all." Zara Sinclair chuckled. "There's no way I can drink this much. I'll stick with my blueberry. Do you want to try mine?" Before Ethan Young could answer, Zara Sinclair held her cup out. He took a small sip, met her expectant gaze, and echoed, "Delicious." For them, it was perfectly normal, but to others, it was sickeningly sweet, enough to make your teeth ache from the acidity of jealousy. It was as if an invisible barrier separated them from the outside world, impenetrable to anyone else. Alice Taylor lowered her eyes, swallowing the bitter taste in her mouth. Her water was finished. She gently set the cup down. "Emily Young, I should get going. I'll come see you again another day." Emily Young looked at her, reluctant to see her leave. "Can we add each other on WhatsApp?" "Of course." Alice Taylor pulled out her iPhone. After adding each other and editing their contact names, she quickly scrolled through Emily Young's feed. Emily clearly doted on her brother. Her feed was mostly about Ethan Young, documenting their lives as siblings. Emily didn't have many friends added. She used to treat her feed like a diary, thinking that if she died one day, the living could at least remember her through it. Because as the saying goes, death is not the end of life, being forgotten is. Alice Taylor glanced through quickly and put her phone away. "Okay, I'm heading out." She looked towards Ethan and Zara. "Ethan Young, Serena Sinclair, I'm leaving now. Let me walk you out." "No need, my car is parked downstairs." Alice Taylor waved goodbye over her shoulder and practically fled into the elevator. Instead of going back to the Taylor family home, Alice Taylor went straight to her eldest sister's office to complain. With their parents away, Jessica Taylor was in charge. Alice tearfully recounted her grievances, sobbing uncontrollably. Annoyed by the noise, Jessica Taylor rubbed her temples and responded. Lucas Taylor definitely crossed the line. "Stop crying. I'll figure out a way to handle it." She hadn't expected Serena Sinclair to actually be married, let alone to a man like that. Serena Sinclair was fiercely protective of her own, and Jessica didn't want to antagonize her. So, she would have to clean up the mess Lucas Taylor had made. Regarding the bet between the two Sinclair sisters, Jessica was entirely on Zara Sinclair's side. In terms of ability and strategy, Zara left Serena miles behind. They weren't even in the same league. Take Zara's company, Sinclair Foods, Inc. For example, recently, food safety issues had blown up, trending daily on BuzzFeed. Zara hadn't panicked at all. She directly invited the FDA office to inspect the factory and even live-streamed the entire process. The product packaging was changed, the product line expanded, and prices were increased accordingly. How could such terrible-tasting food not only avoid a price drop, but actually increase in price? Was she insane? The news sent shockwaves across the internet. You think changing the packaging means I won't recognize you? P5.Ex Foods. If they can't even make simple ramen taste good, forget about the frozen stuff. Anything with meat in it, I just call it scraps. And they dare to raise the price? Do you know how I've survived all these years? I eat 1 pack of ramen in 2 meals. Only order combo platters. The rich have Rolls Royces. The poor work themselves to death. Compared to being poor, being ugly is nothing. I think the P5.Ex Foods boss has really lost it. They're going to ruin the good reputation they used to have. I heard the owner changed. It's the eldest daughter of the Sinclair family now. This eldest daughter isn't cutting it. Maybe they should replace her? The Sinclair family has more than 1 daughter. Netizens argued fiercely, refusing to buy it. They had no idea P5.Ex Foods had already changed its recipes, assuming it was the same old taste. Some tried to stir up trouble, but they were shut down before they could gain traction. First, the food influencer whose initial video went viral received an offer from P5.Ex Foods. They paid him to do another review, with no requirement other than to be honest and objective. Upon receiving the products, the food influencer immediately started a live stream, going straight for the jugular. P5.Ex Foods sent me their new products. They probably wanted to whitewash them. But family, am I the kind of person blinded by a little profit? Obviously not. Trying to get me to shill for trash? Absolutely impossible. Because the influencer's previous critical video was still trending, his live stream immediately attracted massive attention from passersby. Zara Sinclair even paid for promotion, driving more and more viewers into the stream. The streamer opened the cardboard box, placing each product on the table, complaining as he unpacked. As a consumer, his words resonated with many. While dumplings and steam buns were steaming on the stove, he prepared a bowl of ramen and sat down to try the spicy jerky. It's this spicy jerky. Last time it almost made me puke. The oil is so greasy, not fragrant at all. Listen, I grew up poor too. I've eaten plenty of bad food, but this stuff ranks 3rd on my lifetime worst list. You ask who's 1st and 2nd? Still P5.Ex Foods, of course. Their flavors can make normal things taste abnormal. Anyway, it's just disgusting. The streamer opened the spicy jerky with a pained and disgusted expression. The chat scrolled wildly. Streamer sacrificing himself for science. I'm crying. All the suffering I've avoided in life is happening today. Streamer, need us to call 911. The screen filled with comments spamming danger. But as soon as the streamer tore open the spicy jerky package, he sensed something was different. He picked up a piece, ate it, and even licked the oil off his fingers. Delicious. The streamer eagerly started trying the other products. After the ramen, he moved on to the dumplings and steam buns, his eyes widening repeatedly. At first, he managed a few comments, but by the end, he was eating like someone who hadn't eaten in 3 days. His stomach was completely full. He let out a satisfied burp. His dog, holding its food bowl, sat beside him, anxiously circling the table. This started to annoy the audience. The chat erupted with arguments, accusing the streamer of selling out. The streamer wiped his mouth. Delicious. Absolutely worth the price. And I checked the ingredients list. It's very clean. The meat filling in these dumplings is really fresh. The spicy jerky tastes just like my childhood memories. The ramen is $0.50 a pack, better than any other brand on the market. And look at all the meat. He held up a piece of meat. The chat exploded with exaggerated comments about how that single piece of meat was more than a certain popular brand gives in a year. My dog is super picky, the streamer continued. Let's see if he'll eat it. The dog, upon tasting a dumpling, started wagging its tail furiously. Longtime fans knew this dog was notoriously picky. It could supposedly sniff out any weird additives. The streamer sighed dramatically. It used to be whatever I ate, the dog ate. Now, whatever the dog eats, I eat. Look how much my dog loves it. If I'm shilling, may I be struck down? Chat. No need for that, seriously. Viewers who had followed the streamer's reviews and eating broadcasts for years had never seen him promote anything this vehemently. Half the audience was skeptical, half believed him. Seeing how much he enjoyed the food, some curious onlookers started placing orders. At that moment, the official P5.Ex Foods account entered the live stream and sent the streamer several expensive virtual gifts, adding a comment. All the money went into product upgrades. We genuinely don't have money left for paid shills. Seeing such an official and blunt statement, the chat buzzed again. No money, but you can send those huge gifts. Is it really that good? The dog wouldn't lie to me. I've decided to try it myself. The streamer is making it look too good. Never say never. The delicious effect is real. I tried it on a film set recently. It's actually amazing. Highly recommend the dumplings. More and more people want to try it. Seeing the hype reach its peak, the Judgea Foods brand account released its inspection reports and quality certifications, adding the promise: tenfold compensation if proven fake or substandard. Judgea Foods, which had been caught in a storm of controversy, completely turned the tables. In the food industry, as long as it tastes good, people will buy it. Although the price had increased slightly, it was still within an acceptable range for most consumers. Many breakfast stalls nowadays use pre-made meals bought online. Just tear open the bag, steam, and sell it several times the cost. If it's all pre-made anyway, why not choose one that's tastier, cheaper, and healthier? Seeing the purchase records and sales figures, major supermarkets rushed to sign contracts with Judgea Foods to stock their products. This was the risk of acting on information gap. Serena Sinclair dared to invest money in a BuzzFeed smear campaign because she assumed Judgea Foods was still the same subpar, problematic, unpopular brand. Her tactic was indeed potent. Magnifying problems, exposing them to the public, I could, at minimum, get products pulled from shelves or at worst, bankrupt the company. Unfortunately for her, the Judgea Foods of today was nothing like its former self. With upgraded flavors and innovations across the board, it had completely distanced itself from the competition, leaving no rivals in its tier. By a twist of fate, Serena had inadvertently given Zara Sinclair massive free publicity. Serena was so enraged, she practically coughed up blood. Production on the movie was finished, and as it entered the promotional phase, netizens who caught wind of it started calling it a flop before even seeing the trailer. The strongest backlash came from Alice Taylor's fans. She was a reasonably popular rising star, after all. She could have had her pick of projects, so why act in a film like this? Some prominent fan leaders publicly renounced their support, believing Alice Taylor disregarded her fans' feelings. From the fans' perspective, they worked hard every day running online campaigns to boost her popularity, wanting her to have a better future with access to superior scripts and teams. But instead, she seemed to devalue herself by taking on a second-rate role. Looking at the production team and cast, apart from Alice Taylor, who brought her own fanbase, the others were either complete unknowns or plagued by scandals. Even the male lead was an actor nobody had ever heard of. Why did he have to play the lead? Did he deserve equal billing with Alice Taylor? Could he be an industry plant, someone landing the role purely through connections? But when they finally saw the trailer, the mix of comedy and suspense immediately hooked everyone. Gotta admit, whoever plays the male lead is damn handsome. How come I've never heard of him? Is he a recent graduate? Good looks don't guarantee good acting. Maybe the director just cherry-picked the best scenes for the trailer. It could be like polishing a turd, trying to lure people in. This trailer really got my attention. Whether it's crap or not, I'm buying a ticket to check it out. Look him up. Ethan Young comes from short web dramas. I'm gonna go check those out. Despite verbally trashing it as a flop, quite a few netizens were still willing to contribute to the box office. They asked about the release date, and hearing it was set for the Christmas season slot, everyone thought the team was suicidal. Didn't they know the rival film, Immortal Thief, already had pre-sale tickets approaching $118? $3 million? Big production, big stars, famous director, $200 million invested in special effects. That lineup alone scared off numerous competitors, causing many films to pull out of the Christmas slot and reschedule. Other movies were afraid of getting crushed, but Ethan Young seemed afraid of missing the competition. As of now, it wasn't even certain if Coward could secure a release. Liam Lawrence and Hank Harrison were frantic. Ethan Young remained calm. "Don't worry," he said. "It'll be sorted out." Sorted out? How? It had passed the review board, but the studio executives were putting immense pressure, saying no AMC theaters were willing to screen it. With 2 weeks left until the holiday season peak, Ethan Young received an invitation. Using his identity as the author Ling Che, he attended the birthday gala of Mr. Lee, the chairman of a major theater chain, hoping to negotiate screening slots. He didn't know Mr. Lee personally, but he knew the Lee family's youngest son, Mr. Lee's favorite grandson, Ryan Lee. Ryan was a fan of his books. The invitation in Ethan's hand had been given to him by Ryan a month prior. They had known each other for 5 years and had a decent relationship. Mr. Lee's birthday gala was held at the Lux Hotel. As Ethan Young entered with his invitation, he immediately spotted Grandma Wood and, beside her, Zara Sinclair. What were they doing here? Perhaps it was telepathy, but just as Ethan walked in, Zara Sinclair noticed him too, a flash of surprise in her eyes. Zara Sinclair was dressed simply today. While others wore gowns and dresses, she wore a coat, looking less like she was attending a birthday gala and more like she was there for business. Even so, she still drew a lot of attention. Several men couldn't help but glance her way as she passed. Zara Sinclair walked purposefully straight toward Ethan Young. "What are you doing here?" Ethan Young asked. "I'm here to talk business." "You? Me too. What kind of business could Zara Sinclair possibly have with Mr. Lee?" Their fields seemed completely unrelated. Ethan Young looked into Zara Sinclair's expressive eyes, and something clicked in his mind. He had a good guess why Zara Sinclair was here. She had come for him. Ethan Young's film had run into trouble lately. Although Zara Sinclair hadn't asked about it, she had clearly been observing everything. When you love someone, you naturally want them to succeed, to be by their side through achievements, to see their bright future unfold, wishing them peace and prosperity, hoping they stay by your side year after year. Zara Sinclair had intended to arrange things secretly as a surprise for Ethan Young. She hadn't expected to run into him here. Perhaps Ethan Young really didn't need her help. Grandma had spotted Ethan Young too and waved him over. "Ethan, come here." Zara Sinclair took his arm. "Grandma's calling us. Let's go over." Grandma Wood was sitting with Mr. Lee, along with a well-known studio executive and other theater chairmen. Seeing Ethan Young approach, Grandma Wood stood up and ushered him towards Mr. Lee. "Here, everyone look. This is my grandson-in-law, Ethan Young. He recently finished a movie. It's excellent. He said he'd take me to see it in theaters during the Christmas season. You all need to lend him a hand. Ethan, say hello. This is your Grandpa Lee." "Hello, Grandpa Lee." Mr. Lee beamed at Ethan Young, his face full of approval. "Excellent. A talented man and a beautiful woman. A perfect match. Your grandmother just showed me some of your work. Very compelling. It's sure to be a hit." Ethan Young had rehearsed his pitch the whole way there, only to find there was no need for him to say anything. He presented the gift he had prepared for Mr. Lee, something he had asked Ryan Lee about, ensuring it was perfectly suited to Mr. Lee's tastes. His iPhone buzzed twice. Ethan Young checked it, a text message from Ryan Lee asking where he was and if he had made it into the Lux Hotel yet. Ethan Young replied, "I'm at your grandpa's table, Ryan Lee." Less than a minute later, Ryan Lee rushed over. Seeing Ethan Young, he exclaimed, "You're here? Why didn't you tell me?" Mr. Lee asked, "You two know each other?" Ryan Lee nodded. "Yeah, he's the guest I invited." "Oh, right, Grandpa. Let me introduce you. This is Ling Che, the novelist I told you about. He has a movie coming out soon. Could you maybe help out? Ask the theaters to give him some more screening slots." "Mr. Lee, this is the novelist Ethan Young I mentioned." So, the novelist Ethan Young was also the actor Ethan Young. Mr. Lee looked surprised, likely not anticipating the dual identity. "I've read both your books," Mr. Lee commented. "Quite impressive." Coming from Mr. Lee, who had read countless books, quite impressive was high praise indeed. Ethan quickly thanked him. All eyes in the room were now on him, especially Zara Sinclair, whose gaze was filled with amusement and meaning. Mr. Lee turned to Grandma Wood. "Your grandson-in-law is remarkable," he said. "A writer and an actor. I'll have my assistant prepare the contract right away. Screenings won't be an issue, but we still need to follow standard procedures." Ethan understood perfectly theaters needed to turn a profit. The first 3 days of release typically determined a film's fate. With 6 major releases scheduled for the Christmas season, including a fantasy blockbuster, a military drama, an animated feature, a sci-fi film, and a thriller, Ethan's movie wasn't exactly the frontrunner. The final negotiation secured a 20% screen share, which actually exceeded Ethan's expectations. "Thank you for this opportunity, Mr. Lee," Ethan said sincerely. "We'll increase the screenings if attendance remains high," Mr. Lee replied. "But if the box office numbers drop?" Ethan finished the thought. "I'll pull the film myself if necessary." Everyone was in it for profit. He wouldn't stand in the way of that. Mr. Lee nodded, clearly approving of Ethan's pragmatism. After signing, Ethan carefully kept his copy of the contract. Observers around the room began speculating about this newcomer who was sitting among Mr. Lee's inner circle. Ryan Lee sent Ethan a message. "What's the deal with you and Zara Sinclair? You two seem close." Ethan simply replied, "Married." After a long pause, Ryan sent back a meme expressing utter shock. Asterisk, mind blown. "You know Zara Sinclair, and you still came to me for help." Asterisk. Ethan admitted, "I wanted to handle it myself." Ryan retorted, "That's what family resources are for." True enough, leveraging available resources was the smart thing to do. Ethan was brilliant, but sometimes stubbornly independent. Ryan decided not to pry further into Ethan's love life, saving himself the potential headache. Mr. Lee's birthday gala brought out familiar faces, including Jessica Taylor and Lucas Taylor. Lucas had practically begged Jessica to bring him, claiming he needed to network, though his real motive was hoping to see Zara. He saw Zara, all right, and he saw Ethan with her. Lucas's hatred burned hottest for Ethan, the man who had replaced him and stolen the woman he loved. Whispers circulated about Ethan. Who's that with Mr. Lee? He's handsome and clearly important. Must be someone special to be sitting at that table. Zara Sinclair had her arm linked through his. Is that her boyfriend? They look good together. And Grandma would obviously approves. Zara's already 28, right? Marriage must be soon, maybe kids next year. Lucas gripped his wine glass so tightly his knuckles turned white. Jessica subtly restrained him. Control yourself, she hissed. Don't embarrass us. Lucas drained his glass in one furious gulp. Jessica studied Ethan from across the room, tall, well-built. It was clear he possessed more than just good looks to have attracted someone like Zara Sinclair. Laughter drifted over from the VIP table. As guests began departing after lunch, Grandma Wood left early, escorted by Ethan and Zara. Lucas watched Zara walk past, completely ignoring him, and felt the familiar throb of his old wounds. Though he despised Ethan, a part of him also feared the man, remembering the beating he'd received in the hospital. Lucas tried to convince himself that encounter was a fluke, that one day he could get the better of Ethan. He imagined everyone secretly despised Ethan as a gold digger, yet he couldn't ignore the sight of Ryan, Lee's circle flocking around him. Fans even approached Ethan for autographs. His WhatsApp quickly accumulated over 40 new contacts. The networking conversations lasted until dusk, with Zara patiently facilitating introductions for him. Finally, when they were alone, she took his hand, large, strong, veins prominent beneath the skin, and traced the lines on his palm. My turn now, Mr. Young, she said softly. Ethan's gaze flickered. I meant to tell you, he started. Zara tightened her grip on his fingers. Let's discuss it in the car. The night air was chilly. The parking lot was deserted. Zara Sinclair tugged Ethan Young by his tie and pulled him in her car. In the cramped space, their breaths mingled. In the dim light, their eyes locked, the confrontational atmosphere shifting into something else entirely. Tell me, Zara said. Why didn't you tell me the truth? Why did you say Emily Young wasn't you? Ethan Young looked at her frankly. Because I didn't want you to see me through any filter. He wanted Zara to like him for being Ethan Young, not Emily Young. No preconceived notions, no outside influences, just a pure, unadulterated view of him. Even facing the woman he liked, he was afraid her high regard would ultimately turn into disappointment. Plus, some of the content in his novels was rather explicit, which he found a bit embarrassing. If it weren't for the scheduling issues with his film, Ethan Young would never have revealed this part of his life. His deep-set eyes gazed intently at Zara. Nature had blessed Ethan Young with striking features. A sculpted face, a high-nosed bridge, and long lashes framing eyes that could make even a dog look soulful. Under such a gaze, Zara couldn't hold out. She'd intended to feign anger, to punish him, but his eyes softened her resolve. She placed her hands on his shoulders and straddled him. They'd both had a fair amount to drink, and she could smell the alcohol on him as she drew closer. Neither was drunk, but their heads were a little fuzzy, their bodies growing warm. Zara bit her lip. Actually, I knew already. Ethan Young was taken aback. When did you find out? The first day you came to my house. I suspected it then, but that day I knew for sure. When authors write, Zara thought some of their habits and speech patterns unconsciously bleed into their characters. The way you rubbed your nose. You looked guilty. Ethan Young averted his gaze. Zara cupped his face, forcing him to look at her. Mr. Emily Young, she purred. I'm very interested in some of your descriptions. Like the camping scene. Finding a secluded spot. Looking at the stars, the sky as your blanket, the earth as your bed. In the car, in the woods, listening to the frogs. I hope your hands can wipe away the heat like the night wind. It was a passage from his book. She was curious. She wanted to see if Ethan Young would react like his protagonist. Ethan Young steadied her hips as she leaned in, her soft lips pressing against his. What started as a light touch quickly escalated. Like a balmy spring day, suddenly turning stormy. One hand supported her back, the other cradled her head, protecting it from bumps. This was a new level of boldness for Zara, especially in such a place. A few people had wandered into the once empty parking lot, chatted briefly, and gotten into their cars. A car nearby pulled away, and as the engine revved, Zara stiffened, her thighs tensing. Ethan Young soothingly patted her back. Gradually, Zara relaxed, melting against him. The kiss left Zara breathless, leaning against his shoulder. Ethan Young nuzzled her cheek. Just as he was about to lift her off his lap, voices drifted in from outside. Isn't that Zara Sinclair's car? Is she still here? It was Jessica Taylor. Ethan Young glanced out the window, making eye contact with Lucas Taylor. The tinted windows shielded them from view. Lucas Taylor glared at the car, rage coursing through him. He wanted to do something drastic. If Jessica Taylor weren't there, he would have used his drunken state as an excuse to smash the window. Zara Sinclair is married, Jessica said. You need to let it go. Lucas' eyes were filled with hatred. Easy for you to say. I've loved her for years. I can't just give up. You've loved her for years, but you never said anything. Why? Are you mute? It's because you're cowardly and selfish, Lucas. You're 26, not 6. Think before you act. I'm busy. I don't have time to clean up your messes. Lucas retorted, I didn't ask you to clean up my messes. You. Jessica raised her hand, then slammed it back down, her voice tight with anger. Do you think I want to clean up after you? Last time you went to the hospital and offended Grandma Wood, it cost Mom and Dad a fortune to fix it. Why don't you ever learn? It wasn't that she wanted to be so harsh, but nothing less seemed to get through to him. Lucas Taylor was a master of selective hearing. Anything unfavorable, he simply ignored. He needed tough love, but their parents were too soft, too reluctant to discipline him properly. Jessica would gladly give him a beating, but Lucas was so thick-skinned, she'd probably bruise her hand before she hurt him. After today, do you still think Ethan Young is inferior to you? Setting aside family background, what do you have that compares to him? He can support himself as an actor, and he can be here as a novelist. Could you do that? Lucas ignored her. He learned about Ethan Young's writing career from Ryan Lee. He hadn't believed Ethan Young was Emily Young at first. He'd thought it was an imposter. He knew of Emily Young. She was one of the best-selling authors in recent years. So what if he wrote a couple of crappy books? Jessica's laugh was laced with scorn. Yes, he only wrote a couple, while my brother, you, are mediocre with nothing to offer but a thick skin and a bad heart. As the argument continued outside, small movements began inside the car. Zara, recovered from the near interruption, nuzzled Ethan Young's lips again. Her coat was off, and a thin sheen of sweat covered her back. She whispered in his ear, I'm so hot. Can you tie my hair up? The tie is in my coat pocket. Ethan Young retrieved the coat and found the hair tie, gathering her long hair. They moved carefully, mindful of the people outside. The car was silent except for their breathing and the occasional swallow. Zara wondered how long it would take for the people outside to leave. Her knees were numb. She shifted, pushing herself up. Ethan Young, seeing this, reached out to support her hips, gently turning her sideways on his lap. Zara's foot accidentally brushed against the car door. Thump! The sound startled Lucas Taylor. He turned, staring at the car with suspicion. He started toward it, but Jessica yelled from the driver's seat. Get in. What are you waiting for? That noise just now came from Zara Sinclair's car. Lucas Taylor wanted to get a closer look, but Jessica Taylor hurried him from behind. Stop dawdling and get in the car. I didn't hear anything. You must have misheard. If you don't get in now, I'm leaving without you. Lucas Taylor reluctantly stopped and walked away, glancing back every few steps. He kept looking, wondering if he really had heard wrong. Inside the car, Ethan Young had his hand on the door handle. If Lucas Taylor dared to come any closer, he was ready to swing the door open and hit him. Zara Sinclair was curled up in his arms, her hand resting on his shoulder, occasionally brushing against his earlobe, as if trying to soothe his tense anxiety. Ethan Young didn't react, just held her tightly, shielding her with his jacket, unwilling to let anyone see her like this. Hearing the car outside drive away, Ethan Young finally relaxed his brow. Even though the heat wasn't on in the car, Zara Sinclair was sweating slightly. She snuggled deeper into Ethan Young's embrace. Boss, I want to do something bad. The woman he desired was lying in his arms, her clothes disheveled, hair messy, tempting him with a direct gaze. Ethan Young's muscles tensed. He reached out, touching her jaw. Zara Sinclair's eyes were hazy as she nuzzled his hand with her cheek. In the dim light, he couldn't see her face clearly, but he could tell from the heat radiating from her skin just how beautifully she was blushing. So let's go home, okay? Ethan Young coaxed her. Once we're home, you could do whatever you want, play however you like. Boss will let you have your way. The alcohol coursed through her veins, igniting a frenzy. Every cell in her body seemed to clamor, simmering with heat. Zara Sinclair lowered her head and nipped at his thumb, gnawing gently like on a teething toy. It didn't hurt, but it sent a tingling jolt like a faulty plug from his fingertip through his entire body. Ethan Young reached out and pulled Zara Sinclair up. Since they had both been drinking, neither could drive, so they had to call for a designated driver. Once they reached the parking lot and the driver left, Zara Sinclair eagerly pushed Ethan Young down, straddling him. The car fell silent except for their quickening breaths and the tangle of lips and tongues, enough to make anyone blush. This was far bolder than back in a hotel parking lot. Maybe being back home gave her a sense of security. Ethan Young's hand slipped under the hem of her clothes, caressing the softness beneath, unable to get enough. Zara Sinclair had chewed honeydew-flavored gum earlier, leaving a sweet taste in her mouth. He savored it as he deepened the kiss. Zara Sinclair put her hand up to block his mouth, and he accidentally nipped her finger. Ethan Young asked nervously, "Did that hurt?" "No." She rubbed her fingertip against his stubble, gazing at his handsome features, his high-bridged nose casting a small shadow to one side in the dim car light. "Boss, I love you," Zara Sinclair said, taking Ethan Young's hand and placing it over her heart. "Because of you, my heart is always racing. Whether you're Emily Young or not, I would still love you. I love you just because you're you. The more I get to know you, the more I like you. In this unpredictable future, I want to plan for you to be in it. I want to become the most important person to you." Zara Sinclair's eyes were like clear lake water, gazing at Ethan Young without reservation, as if she could see straight through his eyes to touch his innermost thoughts. With every sentence, she kissed Ethan Young. Zara Sinclair had encountered too many insincere people, which made her especially cherish those who were genuine with her. She did love those 2 books, but she wouldn't become obsessed with the person behind them just because of the books. The one she had fallen in love with was always the Ethan Young who was by her side, who always responded, always followed through, and never brushed her off. Asterisk, I'm sure you won't leave, and I'm sure I won't leave either. Asterisk, with Ethan Young, she could let down all her defenses, like a weary bird returning to its nest, finding a sense of belonging. My feelings for you aren't just a whim, nor am I simply fascinated by your body. For me, desire stems from love. Every part of my body is telling me it loves you. Zara Sinclair wasn't good at saying cheesy things, but if she didn't say them, how would Ethan Young know what she was thinking? So she had to boldly express her love, bit by bit, to fill the gaps in Ethan Young's sense of security. Ethan Young just felt his heart fill to bursting. He didn't speak, only stared intently at Zara Sinclair. After they gazed at each other for a moment, Zara Sinclair asked, "Why aren't you saying anything? What are you looking at me for?" Ethan Young's voice was husky. "I'm looking at winter." Zara Sinclair blinked, not understanding what he meant. The next second, she heard Ethan Young say, "I love winter." Winter used to be Ethan Young's favorite season. Its arrival meant the Christmas season and vacation were coming soon. New clothes, gifts, good food, fun activities. He loved snowy days, want to go north to see snow, visit ice festivals, go ice skating, skiing, soak in an outdoor hot spring surrounded by snowy scenery. During his 5-year contract as a stand-in, his love for winter gradually faded. He stopped liking winter, even began to dread it, until he met Zara Sinclair. He hugged her tightly, as if holding the entire winter in his arms. "I met you this winter, so now I possess the whole winter." Zara Sinclair felt as if her heart had been gently bitten, filled to the brim with an irresistible flutter. She reached up and stroked Ethan Young's hair. The intimate atmosphere intensified, making them want to do something, but the car was too small, restricting their movements. Ethan Young opened the car door and lifted Zara Sinclair out. Zara Sinclair's shoes had come off at some point. When her bare feet hit the cold air, she flinched and whispered, "My shoes are still in the car." Ethan Young glanced down at her. "Hold on tight." Hearing this, Zara Sinclair immediately tightened her arms around Ethan Young's neck. Ethan Young freed one hand to grab her high heels. As he opened the door to their home, Zara Sinclair leaned close to his ear. "Mrs. Ward isn't here today." Ethan Young's breath hitched noticeably. Once inside, he dropped the heels, lowered his head, and captured her soft lips, kissing her deeply, fiercely. He didn't make it to the bedroom, instead laying her down right on the sofa. He didn't pull away until both their lips were red and swollen. Zara Sinclair gazed hazily out the window. "Boss, it's snowing outside." Ethan Young let out a breath. "You still have a mind to look at the snow." Zara Sinclair's voice was slightly breathless. "Don't you like snow?" "I like you more." It hadn't snowed in Maplewood for a long time, quite a rare sight. Ethan Young didn't look. All his attention was focused on Zara Sinclair. He kissed Zara Sinclair's forehead, an indescribable tenderness filling his heart. After Lucas Taylor got in the car, his mind kept replaying that sound from the other vehicle. He wasn't sure if it was his imagination, but as he had gotten closer, he thought he'd sensed someone inside the car. If someone was in there, it had to be Zara Sinclair and Ethan Young. An empty parking lot, a quiet car, a man and woman alone. The perfect time, place, and opportunity. Something intense was bound to happen. With a crunch, Lucas Taylor tightened his grip on the plastic water bottle in his hand. No way. Zara Sinclair would never do something so frivolous. In Lucas Taylor's mind, Zara Sinclair was untouchable, sacred, and inviolable. So the sound from the car must have been his imagination. He hadn't felt anyone else looking at him, either. Jessica Taylor, driving, shot Lucas Taylor a cold look. Why are you acting so weird tonight? If you're sick, I'll take you straight to Seabreeze General Hospital. You can keep Serena Sinclair company. Maybe you two can bond. Lucas Taylor put down his water bottle. Serena Sinclair isn't out of the hospital yet. She was discharged, Jessica Taylor replied, but she was recently readmitted. Lucas Taylor didn't want to talk about Serena Sinclair, but there were things he wanted to ask her. Like, what else was Ethan Young hiding? Did Serena Sinclair know about his identity as Ling Che? As Lucas Taylor mulled it over, his hand unconsciously reached for his iPhone and dialed Serena Sinclair's number. No one answered. Jessica Taylor asked, "Are you calling Serena Sinclair?" Lucas Taylor grunted an affirmative. "Her phone hasn't been reachable lately," Jessica Taylor said. "Why?" "Apparently, something happened. She's being punished, confined." "That's serious?" Lucas Taylor recalled the recent flood of negative press about Jia Foods on BuzzFeed. Most likely Serena Sinclair's doing. If Serena Sinclair was confined, she probably didn't even know that Jia Foods had turned the situation around, even gaining enough traction to draw more attention to the brand. He and Serena Sinclair shared a common goal, breaking up Zara Sinclair and Ethan Young. Lucas Taylor's primary target was Ethan Young. Step 1 was to prevent his movie from being released. Step 2 was to smear Ethan Young's name, exposing that he'd been kept by someone in the past. Netizens nowadays believe any rumor they hear. Armed with a keyboard, they critique freely, never caring about the truth. It seems step 1 had failed. But Lucas Taylor wasn't worried. After all, the higher you climb, the harder you fall. Right now, Ethan Young was still a nobody. Even if that dirt was exposed, no one would care. Once Ethan Young gained a little fame, a slight nudge from him would be enough to knock him right back down. Unable to reach Serena Sinclair, Lucas Taylor decided to contact Fiona Fitzgerald. Once he got home, he called her. It was 10 at night, and she was still a bar. "Young mister. Taylor, what's up? What made you suddenly think of me?" Fiona Fitzgerald's hoarse, lazy voice came through the iPhone speakers. She sounded drunk. Lucas Taylor didn't particularly like Fiona Fitzgerald. His tone was distant and cold. "I want to ask you a few things." Fiona Fitzgerald. "Then come find me. Can't we talk on the phone?" "I don't like talking on the phone. Since you're asking me for a favor, you play by my rules. Otherwise, forget it." Fiona Fitzgerald asked with a giggle, "Do you dare to come, second young Master Taylor?" Lucas Taylor couldn't resist the provocation. "Fine. Give me the address." After receiving the address, Lucas Taylor snuck out of the house and took a taxi to the bar. When he entered the private room, he saw 3 male models, one singing, one dancing, and one sitting beside Fiona Fitzgerald, holding a drink and talking to her. "All right, what do you want to ask?" Fiona Fitzgerald lit a cigarette, looking up at Lucas Taylor as he walked in. Lucas Taylor frowned, his gaze instinctively drawn to the red glow at her fingertips. Fiona Fitzgerald raised her cigarette slightly in offering. "Want one?" "No." The surrounding noise gradually quieted down. Lucas Taylor found a place to sit. "Do you know about Ethan Young being a screenwriter?" Fiona Fitzgerald looked bewildered. "What screenwriter identity?" "Ethan Young was with Serena Sinclair 5 years ago. Did you guys know nothing about him? He's Ling Che. He's published 2 books, one of which, called Cicada, was a bestseller. He must have made quite a bit of money." Fiona Fitzgerald had, of course, heard of Ling Che, but she had never connected him with Ethan Young. She had personally witnessed the hard life Ethan Young lived 5 years ago. If it had been her, she would have long since succumbed to depression, gone mad, and then jumped off a building, taking the culprit with her. Besides the physical torment, there was mental abuse. To think he could write 2 best-selling books under such conditions. Fiona Fitzgerald had always thought Ethan Young was impressive, capable, and hid his talents well, but she hadn't realized how much he hid. What now? It seemed she liked him more and more. The 3 male models she'd carefully selected today suddenly lost their appeal. Fiona Fitzgerald took a drag from her cigarette, smacked her lips, and then passed the cigarette to the male model on her right. "I really didn't know Ethan Young wrote books." Serena Sinclair definitely didn't know either. If she had known, she would have broken his hands so he couldn't write, and then deleted all his manuscripts with a single click. Fiona Fitzgerald continued nonchalantly. "You probably don't know how bad Serena Sinclair's temper is. She's good at putting on an act, especially in front of you. She bought Ethan Young 5 years ago for $20 million and constantly beat or cursed him. There was nothing she wouldn't do if she thought of it. Ethan Young is an actor. With his looks, he should have been famous 5 years ago. It was Serena Sinclair who deliberately sabotaged his career, preventing him from taking good scripts, forcing him to ruin his image on screen. Once, a director spotted him immediately and wanted him for a lead role. They were just about to sign the contract. Guess what happened? Serena Sinclair flew into a rage, broke his arm, and locked him in the house for 2 months. And things like that were just the tip of the iceberg. Ethan Young paid a heavy price to be your stand-in. For example, Fiona Fitzgerald glanced at Lucas Taylor's physique. It was fine in winter when clothes could hide it, but stripped down, he was as bland as plain boiled chicken. To match your build, he had to lose weight. To be pale like you, Serena Sinclair took him for procedures to make him paler. Knowing you had pierced ears, Serena Sinclair made him get his ears pierced too. He wore clothes similar to yours, kept the same hairstyle as you. The Ethan Young Fiona Fitzgerald knew, even at his worst, looked better than Lucas Taylor. She often lamented what a criminal waste Serena Sinclair was making of him. Ethan Young had top-notch looks and a great body, practically her dream man, yet he was relentlessly worn down into that state. Fiona Fitzgerald talked for a while, and the faces of the 3 male models beside her changed. Anyone hearing this would have to marvel at Ethan Young's endurance. He truly deserved the money. Serena Sinclair hadn't paid him enough. Only Lucas Taylor, upon hearing about Ethan Young's abuse, showed a flicker of malicious pleasure in his eyes. Serve him right. Serena Sinclair went too easy on him. If it were me, I would have broken both his legs and put him in a wheelchair so he couldn't do anything. Why hadn't Serena Sinclair just killed Ethan Young during those 5 years? If Ethan Young had died, none of this would have happened later. Zara Sinclair wouldn't have gone on a blind date with Ethan Young, let alone married him. And he wouldn't have suffered so much humiliation in front of Ethan Young time and time again. Without Ethan Young, maybe Zara Sinclair would have noticed him. Maybe he would have been the one to marry her. Lucas Taylor's twisted expression was truly disgusting. Fiona Fitzgerald had known Lucas Taylor for as many years as she'd known Serena Sinclair. She hadn't liked Lucas Taylor from the first glance. Maybe it was because she hated overly complicated, scheming people. Fiona Fitzgerald sneered. "What are you so smug about, Lucas Taylor?" Serena Sinclair constantly abused Ethan Young, and Ethan Young was your stand-in. Wasn't abusing Ethan Young basically abusing you? You think you're any better in Serena Sinclair's eyes? If you were, Serena wouldn't have fallen for Ethan Young. Fiona Fitzgerald ignored Lucas Taylor's darkening face and continued to mock him. Ethan Young can do things you can only dream of. You're wasting resources sitting on that Taylor family name and accomplishing nothing. You're as useless as boiling water. Lucas Taylor stood frozen, his sore spot hit, and anger surged. His scalp tingled, and furious, he gripped the sofa armrest. "So I'm garbage, then you're a public bus. Which man would truly love you?" Fiona Fitzgerald raised an eyebrow, tilting her head towards the male models beside her. "Do you guys love me?" The 3 models chorused, "We love you, Fiona. You're the best." Fiona Fitzgerald pointed at Lucas Taylor. "How much do you think a guy like him would go for here? With a mouth that foul, he's probably worthless. A money pit." Fiona Fitzgerald liked that response. She flipped Lucas Taylor off. "Lucas Taylor, you're just not good enough." Lucas Taylor couldn't take a joke. The slightest teasing made him bristle. Comparing him to Ethan Young was insulting, and anyone with eyes knew who they'd choose. Serena Sinclair knew how popular Ethan Young was, which is why, 5 years ago, she kept him from good scripts and had Starlight Talent Agency keep him sidelined. If he showed any signs of success, she'd immediately shut him down. Like a child hiding their favorite toy, unwilling to share, afraid it would be taken. Serena Sinclair was too possessive, and while possessiveness is part of love, excessive possessiveness becomes control, destroying the relationship. So, she was destined to lose an Ethan Young who was determined to leave. After Fiona Fitzgerald's taunts, Lucas Taylor's face was ashen, like he was constipated. "So you're sticking up for Ethan Young. You like him?" Fiona Fitzgerald readily admitted, "Yeah, I like him. I want to date him." She'd never dated someone like Ethan Young. Some people become more desirable the more unattainable they are, leaving you feeling empty and lonely. Lucas Taylor jumped up. "Then go seduce him. Aren't you good at hooking men? If you can't get his heart, get his body. Drug him, and keep him by your side like Serena Sinclair did 5 years ago." If Zara Sinclair had any standards for relationships, and if Ethan Young cheated during their marriage, she would definitely divorce, and then he would have a chance. Fiona Fitzgerald tooted and shook her head, looking at Lucas Taylor with disdain. So, your strategy for people you like is to drug them? Lucas Taylor, what did you learn overseas 5 years ago? Your sister, Alice Taylor, likes Ethan Young too. Did you tell her to seduce him as well? Seeing Lucas Taylor silent, seemingly confirming her suspicions, Fiona Fitzgerald was astonished. He actually did? What a perfect match. Serena Sinclair and Lucas Taylor, both self-centered and selfish. I may like Ethan Young, but I would never do something so low. There are plenty of men in the world. Even if she couldn't be with Ethan Young, she could still have fun with male models. With enough money, she could get any kind of model she wanted, like the 3 she'd hired tonight. Little Chun had broad shoulders, a narrow waist, and long legs. Little Lee was sweet-talking and sang well. Little Son was a great bartender, and his constant sister this and sister that was so endearing. Fiona Fitzgerald had initially wanted to find a substitute, like Lucas Taylor. With some grooming and makeup, he might resemble Ethan Young by about half. But now, comparing Lucas Taylor to Ethan Young felt like an insult to Ethan Young. Once someone's thoughts become ugly, their face becomes distorted, repulsive. Out of sight, out of mind, Fiona Fitzgerald closed her eyes and leaned against Little Son. Lucas Taylor was fuming, feeling completely humiliated. He couldn't lose his last bit of dignity, so he stubbornly criticized Fiona Fitzgerald. He'd always looked down on her, flitting between men every day, impure and dirty, embarrassing the Fitzgerald family. No one would marry a woman like that. Marrying her would be like marrying a cuckold. People are who they hang out with, and Serena Sinclair was close with Fiona Fitzgerald. Lucas Taylor didn't like Serena Sinclair, but the thought of her hanging out with Fiona Fitzgerald, hiring male models, and playing around with men while they were still together made him feel like he'd swallowed a fly. Fiona Fitzgerald initially ignored him, but when she got annoyed, she told Little Son, Little Chun, and Little Lee to throw him out. Standing behind the male models, Fiona Fitzgerald elegantly tossed her hair and said, "Second young Master Taylor, since you love meddling so much, here's a spoon. Why don't you go eat the shit in the toilet? Goodbye." Then, she slammed the door. Lucas Taylor came all this way, didn't get any information, and instead got a face full of dirt. The entire evening made Lucas Taylor's heart feel like a sponge soaked with dirty water, heavy and full of negative energy, resentment, shame, hate, and annoyance. He walked out of the nightclub with his head down, his eyes filled with gloom. The surrounding excitement felt distant. Any mention of Ethan Young was bound to cause a storm. Why did they always compare Ethan Young to him? Ethan Young was trash in his eyes. One day, he'd trample him in the mud, making all those who looked down on him regret it. It was snowing in Maplewood. Zara Sinclair was exhausted and closed her eyes. Ethan Young carried her to the bathroom to clean up, with hangover soup simmering on the stove, ready to drink after her bath. Zara Sinclair lazily lay in the tub, watching Ethan Young busy around her, and couldn't resist reaching out to squeeze his pectoral muscle, hard and firm, with good elasticity. "Tired but still playing? Tired, but I just want to play." Zara Sinclair's voice was hoarse. "I want to swim in your collarbones, slide down your abs." As she said these cheesy lines, she touched him. Ethan Young's pupils darkened, and he playfully slapped her bottom, telling her to stop messing around. While bathing and washing her hair, Ethan Young took care of Zara Sinclair as if she were a child. He picked her up and wrapped her in a bathrobe. In a roomy bathrobe, her body was faintly visible, her damp curls draped over her skin, and her flushed eyes were alluring. Zara Sinclair never learned her lesson. She'd cry and beg for mercy. But as soon as he let her go, she'd be all over him again, teasing him with itchy hands. Ethan Young could never resist her. Not limiting themselves would hurt her body, so Ethan Young had to restrain himself. Zara Sinclair spoke, "I want to watch TV." "Okay." At 2 in the morning, Ethan Young randomly chose a TV show to play. He sat behind Zara Sinclair and used a hairdryer to dry her hair. Zara Sinclair's hair was thick and smooth, with natural waves, so it took a while to dry. Halfway through, Zara Sinclair's hand suddenly reached back. Ethan Young's body tensed, his mind exploding. "Wife, do you know what you're touching?" Zara Sinclair touched for a while, before realizing what she was grabbing, and sheepishly retracted her hand. "I thought it was the remote." She didn't mean to grope him. Ethan Young gripped the hair dryer tightly. After a moment, he lifted Zara Sinclair's long hair and covered the back of her neck with kisses. Zara Sinclair felt her bones melt and quickly begged for mercy. From Zara Sinclair's behavior, it was hard to tell if she was doing it on purpose or not. Seeing tears in Zara Sinclair's eyelashes, Ethan Young finally let her off the hook. The next day, Zara Sinclair couldn't get up. Fortunately, she didn't have any important work, so she slept until 10 before waking up, feeling refreshed and comfortable. Ethan Young had already left, but there was a text message on her iPhone reminding her to eat breakfast. Zara Sinclair stretched as she got out of bed. Ethan Young had already cleaned the house. The sofa cushions were neatly arranged, the trash bags had all been changed, and the air had a faint, fresh scent. Zara Sinclair walked into the living room and saw a bouquet of winter sweet on the table. Zara Sinclair touched her face, feeling a little hot with shyness. Every time she was with Ethan Young, she couldn't control herself and had no restraint. Ethan Young took good care of her, not only helping her wash up, but also knowing to help her with her skincare. In the kitchen, Ethan Young had prepared breakfast, millet porridge, egg pancakes, and a vegetable sandwich. Zara Sinclair's heart was warm, like she was soaking in a hot spring. Whenever she thought of Ethan Young, she couldn't help but smile. Her heart was dancing, and the blood was flowing through her veins with joy. Zara Sinclair ate breakfast while looking out the window. It was still snowing. The snow in Maplewood fell lightly, the size of rice grains sticking to the glass. The winter was cold, but as long as she was with Ethan Young, her hands were never cold. With the contract signed and the movie officially announced and pre-sales launched, Alice Taylor fired off 10 tweets in a row. Ethan Young hadn't logged into his Twitter account for so long that he'd forgotten his password, finally gaining access after verifying his phone number. He also tweeted, but while Alice Taylor racked up tens of thousands of likes, he struggled to break 1,000. He did have plenty of comments, but clicking on them was painful. They were all questioning whether he'd slept his way to the top. Ethan Young glanced at them and then put his phone down. He then logged into his Spiritual Tranquility author account and retweeted the movie promotion. That was a different story altogether. Likes and retweets soared past 10,000, even trending online. Both Coward and Steal the Immortal were set to premiere during the Christmas season on December 30th. In terms of screen allocation, Steal the Immortal dominated. High pre-sale box office numbers, coupled with the drawing power of its actors and director, resulted in AMC theaters giving it 40% of their screens. The remaining 60% was divided among the other films. Liam Lawrence had assumed Coward would get at most 10%, but Ethan Young's involvement had somehow secured them 20%. While it couldn't compete with Steal the Immortal, it far exceeded expectations. However, due to the short promotional window, pre-sales for Coward had only just broken $1 million. Under the massive publicity campaign for Steal the Immortal, other films simply couldn't compete. Liam Lawrence and Hank Harrison were on edge, fearing their film would be pulled from theaters after only 3 days. Amidst the online mockery and jeers, the Christmas season releases began. On the first day, AMC theaters were packed with people eager to see Steal the Immortal. Crowds thronged the automated ticket kiosks, and attendance rates were exceptionally high. The trailer showcased impressive special effects. Faced with a plethora of choices, most moviegoers opted for the familiar appeal of Steal the Immortal, based on a hugely popular fantasy novel. As long as the film stayed true to the source material, it seemed unlikely to disappoint. Others, preferring a less crowded viewing experience, chose other films, including Coward. A few brave souls, willing to risk potential disappointment, trickled into Coward screenings. On its opening day, Coward saw low attendance, with many prime seats remaining empty. A few couples, seemingly less interested in the film itself, deliberately chose seats in the back corners. Even before the movie started, yawns echoed through the theater, suggesting some viewed the film as a sleep aid. With an occupancy rate of 20 or 30 people, the audience munched on popcorn, waiting indifferently. Then the opening music began, immediately capturing their attention. When Ethan Young, playing the male lead, appeared on screen, a collective gasp of wow rippled through the theater. They'd seen the trailer and searched for Ethan Young's previous photos. He looked like a different person. Many suspected plastic surgery or heavy photoshopping in the trailer. Now, confronted with his flawless face on the big screen, the female viewers perked up, abandoning their popcorn. Those previously dozing sat bolt upright. In a dark corner, a girl pushed her amorous boyfriend away. The entertainment industry is overflowing with attractive people, constantly evolving and updating its roster of beauties. But none quite like Ethan Young. If he looked this stunning on the big screen, how much more so in real life? The scene where he's working out, shirtless and doing crunches, then playfully teased by a female ghost while wearing cat ears, captivated the female audience. Like Jessica Taylor's ghost character, they stared, transfixed, afraid to miss a single moment. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, a sculpted back, chiseled features, an intense gaze that seemed to pierce through the screen, capturing their attention and stirring their hearts. The two directors had a history of flops. Hank Harrison was known for visuals over substance, And this time, his strength was amplified, turning male beauty into a visual feast, every frame a potential screensaver. Liam Lawrence, meanwhile, took charge of the plot, crafting a tight, fast-paced story. The early scenes were witty and humorous, drawing frequent laughter from the audience. Despite the suspenseful elements and the presence of a female ghost, the film wasn't frightening, making it suitable for family viewing. The middle section, focused on tracking down the killer, took on a tense, urgent pace, drawing the audience into the protagonist's struggle. When the truth was revealed and the protagonist's memory surfaced, the entire audience was in tears. The 2-hour film packed an emotional punch. The director's skill, the actor's performance, and the compelling storyline, with its blend of humor and heartbreak, left the audience feeling empty yet fulfilled, wanting more, eager for a second viewing. Even the haters who came intending to criticize couldn't deny the film's success. They couldn't, in good conscience, find fault. Every aspect of the film shone, leaving no room for negativity. Paid film bloggers quietly returned their money. They couldn't trash it. There was simply nothing to trash. Big Eater Girl eats so well in this movie. Let me be in it for 2 minutes. The male lead's acting is amazing. I cried when he cried. How can someone be so gorgeous? Not just the face, but the body too. I want to look like that in my next life. As a longtime fan of Jessica Taylor, I'm honestly a little jealous of her. The male lead is so handsome. I need all his information by 3:15. Did anyone notice the instant noodles he eats in a movie? It's that Judja food stuff that's trending. He made it look so good, now I want some. I noticed his fridge was full of Judja foods. It made my mouth water. Hearing screams and howls coming from the theater, a passerby was startled and asked, "What's playing in there? Why is it making people cry and laugh like that?" The ticket taker replied, "Daredevil." "Oh, that awful movie? I remember the lead actress is Jessica Taylor, but who's the guy? Who goes to see a ghost movie during the holidays? Bad luck. But I thought I heard laughing in there." The trailer made it look kind of funny. Nah, I'm only seeing Immortal Thief this year. At least it's based on a book, and the actors and effects are supposed to be decent. It's a $20 million movie, can't be that bad. Just then, some people came out from seeing Immortal Thief, grumbling. Immortal Thief was terrible. The trailer had all the good special effects. The plot was total crap. I wasted 60 yuan. I want AMC theaters to give me my money back. 200 million for effects, and they made a smurf, and they totally nerfed the lead actress. Nothing like the book. The acting was awful, and no chemistry between the leads. Looks like a chocolate bar. Tastes like shit. 2 months of my life wasted. First time I've ever fallen asleep in a theater. I took a date to Immortal Thief, and she dumped me afterwards, said my taste was too low class. My friend couldn't get tickets for Immortal Thief and saw Daredevil instead. He said it was great, totally worth it, and he's going back for seconds. Really that good? Maybe I'll get tickets for the late show, go after dinner. Sounds good. Hearing the mixed reviews, people who were planning to see Immortal Thief started switching to other movies. Day 1 ended, and Immortal Thief was in first place at the box office, but Daredevil had a weak opening at 5th. Box office numbers weren't looking good for it. But word of mouth was incredible. Everyone who saw Daredevil gave it 5 stars. Even those YouTubers who specialize in panning bad movies gave it 5 stars and retweeted it on Twitter. Unexpectedly great. 5 stars, highly recommend. The comment section blew up. How much are they paying you? A few bucks a pop? Got a group chat? Let me in, I need to make some money too. Anyone shilling for bad movies deserves to rot in hell. Did the studio spend all their money on fake online reviews? All these shills did Mr. Lee and Hank Harrison dump their life savings into this. Not paid, just a regular moviegoer, and I'm telling you it's really good. I was planning to see Immortal Thief but couldn't get tickets, so I just picked Daredevil randomly. Thought it would be trash, but it was actually amazing. The male lead's looks and acting alone are worth the ticket price. A day went by, and the buzz for Christmas season movies started to build. Turns out, audiences know best whether a movie's good or not. Day 1, Daredevil box office was behind Immortal Thief. Day 2, Daredevil box office caught up with Immortal Thief. Day 3, Daredevil blew Immortal Thief out of the water. The doubters shut up and switched from Immortal Thief to Daredevil. Who knew these two terrible directors could actually make something good together? They actually played to their strengths. Hank Harrison didn't mess with the story, and Liam Lawrence didn't screw up the visuals. The male lead is drop-dead gorgeous, and I look like a hot mess. Jessica Taylor is keeping quiet. She didn't say anything about how hot the male lead is. Not even a little tempted? Was Jessica Taylor in rehab in a past life? I've seen Jessica Taylor's other movies. Didn't expect her acting to be this good this time. Master Ling Che recommended this movie, and he was right. No regrets. Ling Che and Ethan Young. Those names sound so similar. Could they be the same person? Dude, you're reaching. Saw the male lead eating Judgia Foods dumplings in the movie. They looked so good. Anyone tried them? Let me know. I have. I bought a pack to try when they were trending online a while back, and I was hooked. After seeing Daredevil, I immediately ordered 10 packs. Judgia Foods dumplings are the best. The movie blew up, and Judgia Foods became a surprise hit too. They're swamped with orders, sold out everywhere. The factory machines are practically spitting sparks. Daredevil's box office kept climbing against all odds. In just 3 days, almost every showing was over 85% full, completely crushing Immortal Thief. AMC Theaters isn't stupid. Seeing the way things were going, they increased screenings from 20% to 40%, and Immortal Thief got cut from 40% to 20%. The two movies basically swapped places. This made the fans of the Immortal Thief actors furious, yelling that it wasn't fair. Immortal Thief cast all the hottest celebs. Male lead Zhao Zhe and female lead Su Fei. Their star power got the pre-sales over 100 million. But then it came out, and it was a disaster. Now, a lot of theaters were cutting screenings. To support their idols, fans are paying for tickets out of their own pockets, going to show after show, posting ticket stubs, boosting ratings, making fan videos, commenting everywhere. Not a fan, just a regular person giving an honest opinion. Immortal Thief was actually pretty good. Even the author said the adaptation was great. The screenings are so low. Even though the pre-sales were huge, why are they giving it so few showings? All the showings here are for Daredevil. Immortal Thief finally gets a showing, but it's either 8 a.m. or lunchtime or 10 p.m. graveyard slots. Who's gonna go? I watched Daredevil, and I thought it was awful. I went for the male lead's looks, but after seeing him, seriously? He's not even half as hot as Zhao Zhe. And I heard Ethan Young got plastic surgery. You can find his ugly pics online. Did it work? No. Not only did it not work, it just made regular moviegoers annoyed. Saying the screenings are unfair? AMC Theaters is trying to make money. They're going to pull your movie. The AMC Theater CEO isn't an idiot. He looks at the numbers every day. Daredevil just sells better than Immortal Thief in the same time slots. Higher occupancy rate. Even the back rows are packed. Some AMC theaters that were about to close down have actually reopened and come back to life because of Daredevil's success. Regular moviegoers started complaining online. Can't get up in the morning, gotta eat lunch at noon, gotta nap in the afternoon, weather's cold at night. I don't think you fans even really want to see it that much. Immortal Thief is going to get beat by cartoons if it keeps going like this. $200 million for something that looks like crap. The box office probably won't even hit $500 million. The movie team is going to lose their shirts. The atmosphere in the executive lounge was heavy. Serena Sinclair had been working herself ragged since the movie release, and now she had cold sores on her lips, itchy and painful. The box office had been dropping for 3 days straight. Serena Sinclair couldn't eat or sleep and looked completely drained, like a dried-out husk. To ensure her performance-based contract paid off, Serena Sinclair had staked everything on this film. With a $20 million production budget and substantial marketing costs, failure wasn't an option. She hurled a stack of reports to the floor, glaring at the creative team below. $20 million, and this is what you give me? Do you know how much that Cower movie cost? Less than $1 million. Months of hype, and we can't even hold the top spot for more than 3 days. The box office numbers are plummeting. Her voice dripped with venom. What am I paying you for? Director? You call yourself a director? I should have hired the hack from that other film. And Zachary Dawson. Isn't he supposed to be the hottest male entertainer right now? Where are his fans? He's got millions of them. They could each buy 1 ticket, and we wouldn't be in this mess. He can't even outperform a no-name actor. He's useless. The team remained silent, which only fueled Serena's rage. She slammed her laptop onto the floor. Say something. Are you all mute? How am I supposed to explain this to the shareholders and investors? The faces around the table were grim. Nobody wanted the film to flop. Who could have predicted that a movie with record-breaking pre-sales would perform so poorly? The marketing manager finally spoke. Ms. Sinclair, the marketing plan was solid. We considered every angle, prepared thoroughly, and accounted for potential risks. Who could have anticipated that Coward would come out of nowhere? Without Coward disrupting the market, Stealing the Fairy would have easily raked in profits, becoming the Christmas season box office champion. No one on the team, including Serena, had considered Coward a threat. After all, its production was rushed, plagued with problems, and barely made its release date. Even the theaters hadn't given it many screenings. Serena's hands trembled with fury. She had been grounded, but her parents had released her for the film's premiere, expecting her to behave and focus on work. Her injuries had mostly healed, but the dislocated joints still ached, especially now that the temperature had dropped and snow blanketed Maplewood. The team continued to offer excuses, each trying to shift the blame. Serena's gaze drifted to the poster of Ethan Young on the large screen. She had seen Coward. She knew Ethan was a good actor, but not this good. A successful film required a perfect blend of compelling storytelling, a director with vision, talented actors, and audience appeal. Coward had it all. Serena had gone into the film with preconceived notions, but she found herself captivated. The most jarring part wasn't the romance between Ethan and Alice Taylor, but Ethan's blatant product placement for Zara Sinclair's Judgea Foods. Coward's success had propelled Judgea Food sales. Now, Serena felt besieged. Every time she went online, videos and Telegram posts about Coward and Judgea Foods popped up. On one hand, Coward's box office numbers kept climbing, and on the other, Judgea Foods was flying off the shelves. Why was Zara so lucky? Serena clenched her fists, the sharp pain in her fingers a distant echo compared to the throbbing in her head. Why did Ethan get that role? She muttered. Shouldn't he be worse off without her? How did two mediocre directors make such a good film? Who wrote that script? Was it product placement, or did Zara finance the whole thing? The former was unbearable. The thought of Ethan helping Zara churned her stomach. But amidst the turmoil, a seed of doubt began to sprout. Had she not suppressed Ethan's career? Had she cast him in her films? Would she be in this position? No, she hadn't lost yet. She wouldn't lose. It was only the beginning. There was still a month to turn things around. After Coward's release, Zara booked a private screening for the Sinclair Group employees. She was surprised to see the Judgea Foods advertisement. She snapped a photo and texted Ethan. Why didn't you tell me? Did you go see it? He replied quickly. I wanted it to be a surprise. I'm at the theater now. Private screening for the employees. Zara texted back, filming Ethan's shirtless character doing crunches. Wow, boss. I didn't know you were so good at crunches. You never did them for me. Ethan chuckled, sending a voice message. I may not have done crunches for you, boss, but I did do push-ups. Zara held the phone to her ear, Ethan's low voice a warm murmur, as if he were whispering in her ear. Those push-ups definitely weren't the exercise kind. Remembering the pressure of his body against hers a few days prior, Zara felt a blush creep up her cheeks. She took a long sip of water. Boss, thank you for the surprise. I loved it. Thanks to my boss's wife for the private screening, Ethan replied. I was going to invite you and Grandma Wood to see it. They both enjoyed surprising each other, but it was important to acknowledge the gesture. Otherwise, how would the other know how thoughtful they were? Doing good deeds anonymously might lead to someone else taking the credit. What a loss that would be. Zara's voice dripped with honey. It's okay. I saw it once. You can invite me to see it again. I could watch your movies 1,000 times and never get tired of them. She wasn't exaggerating. She could watch Ethan's shirtless scene on repeat and never get bored. Ethan was captivating on screen, attracting not only her attention but also the audience's. The most talked about aspect of the film was Ethan's performance, his looks, and his acting. The scene where he did suspended sit-ups, his abs seemingly able to effortlessly lift a person, was especially popular. Those abs are insane. Whoever marries him is going to be one lucky woman. Zara, speaking from experience, silently agreed. They were indeed insane. She could still feel the soreness in her hips and legs from a few days ago. Seeing so many people praise Ethan filled Zara with pride. From the moment they met, she knew he was destined for greatness. He wasn't a flicker of fire, but a star. This happy ending was a fitting reward for his hard work and dedication.